Chapter 43-55. Between heaven and earth, the wind and clouds changed, and several figures appeared in the 9 heavens. They suppressed everything, blocking the killing intent that filled the sky. Did someone else come? Countless people were shocked. Lin Xian's pupils constricted. Did the deity Dao Yunyan's people come? That was great. There was hope. These people were specifically targeting the human world. Sure enough, the expressions of those people in the mortal world changed. Damn it! The deity Dao Yunyan is truly like a lingering spirit. 10 more terrifying Saint Kings appeared between heaven and earth, suppressing the area. Everyone regained their hope. Lin Xian was also shocked. He also saw a few familiar faces. Among them was the old woman with a flower basket, the drunkard with a gourd on his back, and the old man with a sickle he had met in the true spirit world. The leader was a middle-aged scholar with a folding fan in his hand. He looked very weak, but no one dared to underestimate him. Why are there so many holy kings in the deity Dao Yunyan? Ling Hu Chueshue and the others were all stunned. Said the peerless Saint King. They didn't belong to any saint city, nor did they belong to any holy land. In that case, it was the deity Dao Yunyan's people. Lin Xian was also surprised. It seemed that it was very similar to the human world, because as long as one wore the human world's killing god mask, one could transform into a killing saint. These people all had multiple identities. Deity Dao Yunyan, you finally appeared. However, do you think that with just you can contend against us? We've been wanting to get rid of you for a long time, the leader of the Holy Kings said coldly. Countless experts felt their scalps go numb. Facing the deity Dao Yunyan, did these people of the mortal world still possess such confidence? Hearing this, the leader of the deity Dao Yunyan, that middle-aged scholar, narrowed his eyes. Others may not know where you came from, but we know it very well. Today it's time to make a move and eliminate all of you from this world. There was no need for it to exist in the human world. A sliver of chilling killing intent appeared on him when he reached the end. The saint rulers behind him also erupted with extremely terrifying light. This is the Jade Lake holy water that we just obtained from the Jade Lake. Perhaps it will be useful to you all. The bottle shone brightly, and the Jade Lake holy water inside fell from the 9 heavens. That's great. Peerless Saint King's eyes lit up. The Jade Lake holy water was an extremely precious treasure. Although it might not be able to cure their great sage corpse poison, it would at least improve their situation. Therefore, these people hurriedly absorbed it. When the people of the mortal world saw this scene, their expressions turned ugly. Hurry up and kill them all. A great battle broke out in an instant. It was incomparably terrifying. Lin Xian and the others were pushed far away. This was a battle between Saint Kings. However, there were 2 other places that were relatively safe. The first one was on Lin Xian's side because Xia Juya was standing there. Even the power of a Saint King could not affect it. The other was where the reincarnation protector was. Even if he stood there, no energy could get close to him. Lin Xian and the others watched the battle anxiously. In the end, they even made a move. After all, in the mortal world, other than the terrifying Saint Kings, there were more Saint Assassins. These people needed to be dealt with. Lin Xian also took a step forward when he saw the Saint Slayers charging at him. A cold light flashed in his eyes. At the same time he roared. Deity Hall. Peerless City. Here. The people of Deity Hall walked out. The eyes of the geniuses of Peerless City also lit up. Lin Xian was not only the master of Deity Hall, but also the junior brother of Peerless Saint King. Now that Peerless Saint King was fighting, Lin Xian could command Peerless City. Kill. A cold voice rang out. The people of Peerless City and Deity Hall roared. Their auras were like a shocking storm, shooting up to the sky. Then they quickly moved out. Lin Xian's body swayed. His 9 young divine body shone brightly. He charged forward. The entire world was lit up. Everyone saw a golden giant that looked like a sun war god. The terrifying aura of flame swept out in all directions. What a terrifying physique. It was indeed a divine body. Countless exclamations rang out. The faces of the people of the mortal world turned cold and gloomy. Moreover, they realized that the people of Deity Hall cooperated well with each other. They could even form many formations. Although Peerless City's team did not cooperate well, Each of them was extremely strong and could make up for their shortcomings. These two teams were under Lin Xian's control. When they attacked together, their power was extremely strong. Now they knew why Lin Xian dared to fight against them in such a dangerous place. Damn it! Wang Jianyi's face turned ugly when he saw this. To be honest, he had been defeated by Lin Xian and wanted to take revenge. However, it seemed that the gap between him and Lin Xian was getting wider. No, I must get my hands on the chaos sword technique. Of course, the prerequisite was that he could survive this hunt. Lin Xian led countless experts and charged forward. Soon the battle started again. The middle-aged scholar waved his hand. A blue frost appeared in his hand and spread out in all directions. Sensing this aura, the expressions of many Saint Kings changed. Even Lin Xian's pupils shrank. He felt that his 9-yang divine body was being suppressed. What a powerful frost aura. It seemed to be able to freeze everything. Buzz. As the fan was opened, a terrifying coldness filled the air, becoming even more terrifying. The leader of the mortal world said, "Indestructible frost fan. Damn it, you actually managed to cultivate it successfully?" He was really shocked. In the next moment, he also let out a furious roar, and an extremely terrifying blood-red light appeared on his body. It turned into a lotus, and he directly swallowed it. Boom. A terrifying aura and law appeared on his body. The Saint King leader continuously formed hand seals. His terrifying killing intent was incomparable. A blood-red pagoda appeared in his hand, rising and falling continuously. Kill. The pagoda attacked. On the other side, the terrifying indestructible frost fan also flew out. The two forces exploded rapidly between heaven and earth. Not good, retreat quickly. The others retreated frantically. The power of these two peak Sage Kings was boundless. However, the moment this horrifying aura appeared, it quickly disappeared. More accurately, it was sealed in ice between heaven and earth. With a wave of the indestructible frost fan, everything was sealed in ice. That terrifying blood-red killing intent was also sealed in ice. Damn it. The leader of the Sage Venerate shrank his pupils. His expression turned extremely unsightly. He retreated quickly. However, frost also formed in his surroundings. There was even frost on his body, making his speed extremely slow. Boom. The leader roared furiously. The blood-red light on his body directly cracked. That horrifying energy destroyed the frost. However, a few terrifying wounds appeared on his body. Blood flowed out as he half knelt in the air. Is he injured? When the Sage Kings of the mortal world saw this scene, their pupils shrank. Their leader was actually injured. On the deity Dao Yunyan's side, the middle-aged scholar said indifferently when he saw this scene. With just your blood-red lotus, you cannot defeat my indestructible frost fan. Chapter 4356. Damn it. That Sage King leader gritted his teeth. Around him, the mysterious woman also walked out. He looked ahead and thought, you are indeed stronger than I imagined. However, if the two of us work together, you will not have an easy time either. You can give it a try. That middle-aged scholar snorted coldly. He also emitted an even more terrifying aura. Why? Do you still want to continue fighting? Don't forget that we are born assassins. If we want to make a move against you, we have an absolute advantage. The two sides faced off again. Both sides had suffered losses. If they continued, it would be even more difficult and tragic. The deity Dao Yunyan was extremely strong. The immortal scholar alone could defeat the other party's leader. However, the other party seemed to have two leaders this time. Furthermore, what the other party said was correct. The people of the human realm were best at assassinations. They appeared and disappeared mysteriously. Furthermore, the Sage Kings of the Holy City were all poisoned. If this dragged on, it would be even more dangerous. It looked like they had to end this battle quickly. At this moment, another figure walked out from the other side and said coldly, "From the looks of it, it would be impossible to completely kill these people now. They could only find another opportunity." The moment these words were spoken, everyone turned their heads to look. Some people had cold expressions, especially those from the 7-star tower. They were surging with killing intent. This was because the person who spoke was a genius from their 7-star tower. Of course, it was the genius who returned from the buried Emperor Earthstar. The other party was the first Sage King to use the Great Sage's corpse poison to kill them. Now that the other party appeared, how could they not be filled with killing intent? Xingyao, do you have anything to say? The mysterious woman looked at the young man. Xingyao said, "My lord, I have an idea." "Oh, say it." That mysterious woman nodded. Xingyao walked forward and looked forward. "I know that you are very strong, but our human realm is not to be trifled with. If we continue fighting, both sides will suffer even more losses. I think that you all do not wish to see such a scene. How about this? Let's have a battle. If we win, then let us leave calmly, and we won't do anything to you. If we lose, then we will give you the antidote. How about it?" The moment these words were spoken, the expressions of the deity Dao Union's people changed. That middle-aged scholar also said, "How do you want to fight?" It was very simple. Xingyao's eyes flashed. He pointed at Lin Xian. "Let me have a duel with him. I don't think you have any objections, right? One-on-one." Moreover, her heart was set on Lin Xian. The surrounding people were shocked. Some people let out a sigh of relief. Lin Xian was so powerful that he could even kill a half-step king. He had no problem dealing with Starshine. At this moment, Xingyao said, "Of course, for the sake of fairness, we are not allowed to use any pills or weapons. They could only rely on their own strength to fight. I think you should be able to do that." As soon as he said that, the faces of the people from the Divine Hall changed. The experts from the other holy cities also frowned. In that case, he would not be able to use the Saint King's weapon. Lin Xian's trump cards would be greatly reduced. This Xingyao came back from the buried Emperor Star, and his strength is extremely terrifying. If he did not use the martial Saint King's weapon, even a late-stage Holy Venerate would not be able to contend against him. Now he actually wanted to challenge Lin Xian. Wasn't this clearly bullying? Some people clenched their teeth. Indeed, the deity Dao Union's people snorted coldly. "A challenge is fine, but we can send someone else." However, Xingyao said, "No, this is a battle between the two of us. If you want, then this is a battle. If you are willing, then we can resolve this matter. The losses between our sides will be extremely small. If you do not agree, then let's fight. I have never feared anyone in the mundane world. Damn it. You dare to threaten us?" The expressions of the deity Dao Union's people turned cold. However, that undying scholar said, "Young man, what do you think?" Immediately, everyone looked at Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "I will accompany you at any time." So what if he did not use the martial Saint King's weapon? Lin Xian had never feared anyone. Since the other party wanted to challenge him, then so be it. Could this fellow do it? Countless people felt doubtful. However, that undying scholar smiled and said, "All right, let's do it this way then." After saying that, his eyes flashed. His eyes flickered as he sent a voice projection. The people of the mundane world are especially despicable. Hence, their words cannot be completely trusted. If we win and they still want to make a move, then there will be another battle. Hence, we have to prepare in advance. I am prepared to use that magic skill. However, it will take too long. This battle can give me time to prepare. If they had retreated obediently, he could have spared their lives this time. Then, I will give these holy kings a chance to heal. If they attack again, then I will deal with them completely, at all costs. The deity Dao Union's people nodded as well. Indeed, this time, they had made two plans. Honestly speaking, they did not particularly want to start a battle. After all, these people in the holy city were poisoned and were in extreme danger. It was better to deal with the poison first. If you want to fight, then bring it on. I hope you will keep your word. Lin Xian said coldly as he walked out. Xiaochen would definitely win this battle. Furthermore, he would end it quickly. Very good. When Xingyao saw this scene, he smiled as well. He looked at the two leaders. The two leaders nodded. Then Xingyao's figure flashed and he walked forward. Seeing the other party walk over, Lin Xian said coldly, "Prepare your antidotes. It would be best if you can take them out immediately after I win. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Brat, you are too naive. Don't think that you can be arrogant just because you killed a half-step holy king. Previously, you only relied on a holy king weapon. With your own strength, you are not qualified to say such words before me. I wonder, can Lin Xian win? The eyes of the surrounding people flickered. They all placed their hopes on Xiaochen. As for those holy kings, they also made use of this opportunity to suppress their injuries. Lin Xian took a deep breath. Then, a sharp light suddenly burst out of his eyes. The nine-yang divine body released a bright light, and an extremely berserk energy burst out, sweeping through the surroundings. Clearly, Xiaochen planned to use his full strength, not holding back at all. He was like a god of war. On the other side, Xingyao smiled coldly as well. He formed hand seals and beams of starlight quickly gathered, instantly forming a starry sky chart. Then he ruthlessly smashed it forward. Kid, fighting with me is the biggest mistake you've ever made. Now you can go and die. Xingyao did this for two reasons. First, he wanted to protect the world. Second, he wanted to use this battle to kill Lin Xian. Chapter 4357. Lin Xian's expression turned incomparably cold as he stretched out his palm. The golden palm formed a seal like that of a human king. A terrifying sound rang out between heaven and earth. Then it slapped forward as well. Boom. The collision of the two gave off a thunderous sound that reverberated between heaven and earth. The sound caused the surrounding experts to feel their blood boil. Some of the young geniuses felt their scalps go numb. This kind of attack was really too strong. It was beyond their expectations. However, those sage kings opened their eyes wide as they stared ahead. Between heaven and earth, time seemed to have come to a standstill. Everyone saw a strange hand seal pressing on the starry sky map. The two of them stopped in the sky. So this is what you want to challenge me by name? Your strength is only SOSO. You are still far from being able to kill me. Lin Xian's eyes flickered as he stared ahead. The corners of his mouth curled up in a cold smile. On the other side, Xingyao gave off an extremely terrifying light. Is that so? Let's wait and see. Very soon, I will make you despair. The power between the two of them erupted once more. Then the two of them quickly retreated. Countless laws spread out between them, spreading out in all directions. When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were extremely shocked. They were evenly matched. It was really hard to believe. However, the people in the mortal realm had extremely cold expressions. One had to know that Xingyao was not an ordinary genius. He could not even be considered part of the younger generation. After all, he was a genius of the previous generation, and had entered the buried Emperor Star. As someone who had returned from the buried Earth Star, his strength was extremely terrifying. Thinking about it, how could the people from the second astral realm block him? However, someone had actually blocked Xingyao's attack. The people from the deity Dao Union heaved a sigh of relief. To be honest, they had been worried for Lin Xian. However, from the looks of it, Lin Xian's strength had far exceeded their expectations. In the sky, Xingyao stood there with a cold expression. His arm was somewhat numb. He looked ahead. A piercingly cold light burst out from it. Was this the legendary divine body? It was indeed strong enough to allow the other party to have such strength. One had to know that his cultivation was much higher than the other party's. However, the other party was still able to block his attack. This should be the power of the divine body. However, so what? Xingyao's strength was not limited to this. If the other party only had this bit of strength, then he could only say that this was the end of the game. Humph. Xingyao coldly snorted and formed hand seals. The surrounding laws spread out in all directions. Heaven and earth trembled as the void shattered. Starlight fell from the outer space. It was as if the entire sky was about to be torn apart. An extremely terrifying power of the stars was rapidly converging towards him. What technique was this? How terrifying! The expressions of the surrounding geniuses changed. Even the sage's pupils constricted. How terrifying, as expected of someone who came back from the buried Emperor Star. Lin Xian frowned as well. He had to admit that the other party was indeed much stronger than those he had encountered before. After all, he was someone who had experienced the buried Emperor Star, and managed to return alive. However, the other party was underestimating him too much. Although he hadn't been to the buried Emperor Star, and wasn't a late-stage expert, so what? His battle strength was not inferior to anyone. Brat, you relied on your powerful physique to block my attack. That really surprised me. However, I can tell you that this is the end of everything. Because at this moment, no one under the Sage Ruler realm is my match. You are no exception. Boom. Along with his voice, a vast and terrifying sound came from heaven and earth. The stars in the sky formed a starry sword that emitted an unparalleled aura. Along with his movement, the starry sword grew larger and bloomed with terrifying light. There were ancient Tao runes on it that were spreading. As his arm fell, the starry sword in the sky also slowly fell. An extremely powerful force descended from the sky. Countless people felt this scene, and their expressions turned grave. Indeed, it was too terrifying for anyone under the Sage Ruler realm to block this move. Mortal world. The corners of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. It seemed that this battle was over. The other party was definitely going to die. They all breathed a sigh of relief. This was because Lin Xian was on their must-kill list as well as the Saint Rulers that they wanted to capture in one fell swoop. They would not allow someone who had been abandoned by the heavens to live. What a terrifying sword intent. Lin Xian also had a grave expression. He naturally felt the powerful force that the starry sword brought. This was the power of the starry sky outside the realm. It was incomparably vast. He took a deep breath and his eyes bloomed with a piercing cold light. Then his physique became even more terrifying. A trace of killing intent bloomed in his eyes. He circulated the Tiger Clan's breathing technique. As he breathed in and out, it spread out in all directions like thunder. The eyelids of the surrounding people twitched violently. They felt a berserk power surging out in all directions. It was obvious that Lin Xian had also used some powerful techniques. Boom. The laws of heaven and earth danced and thunder rumbled. The terrifying void was constantly being torn apart. Lin Xian, on the other hand, swung his fist and pushed forward. Tiger Demon Fist. A terrifying and ferocious aura spread out in all directions. Lin Xian's fist, which was originally golden, was now covered with black veins. They kept spreading out. The power coming from the veins caused the expressions of countless people to change. What kind of fist technique was this? It was too terrifying. Was this brat really just a middle-stage Holy Venerate? Why do I feel that even a late-stage Holy Venerate cannot do this? As expected of the Middle Emperor of the past, an exceptional genius. Some people were incomparably shocked. Those young geniuses were even more flabbergasted. On the other side, when Xing Yao saw this scene, his expression also became incomparably grave. Could the other party also execute such a powerful attack? Although the other party had not made a move yet, the aura from the other party still shocked him. Damn it. It seemed that he had to use some more techniques. Thinking of this, he formed hand seals again. The void above his head kept breaking apart. Once again, endless starlight condensed and turned into a starry sky sword. The power that the sword carried swept out in all directions. One starry sword was not enough to kill the other party. In that case, he would use another one. He did not believe that the other party could block two swords at the same time. The pupils of the surrounding experts constricted. The Sage Rulers were also stunned. No way. This Xing Yao could actually summon a starry sword. Chapter 4358. Kid, it's all over now. Under countless shocked gazes, Xing Yao waved the starry sky sword in his hand. The two starry sky swords pressed down from the sky and slashed forward. Roar! Lin Xian's fist let out a tiger's roar. Then those black fists with destructive power also pushed out. When the two collided, a shocking power and law swept through the 9 heavens. Everyone opened their eyes wide and looked carefully. They wanted to see if the expert who came back from the buried Emperor Star was stronger, or if the top genius of their holy city was stronger. In the sky, countless people watched nervously. The two peerless divine abilities collided in an instant. Then, a desolate-like power burst out and quickly swept in all directions. The surrounding palaces in heaven and earth were all shattered in an instant. Nothing could stop this shocking power. The mortal world's killing saints had grave expressions. To be honest, they recognized Xing Yao's power very much. When Lin Xian dared to make a move, they didn't care about him at all. But now, it seemed that he did have the qualifications to be arrogant. The sage kings of the holy city were also nervous to the extreme. This battle concerned their fates. They didn't expect that one day, their fate would be in the hands of a young man. Under everyone's anxious gazes, The two rays of light kept retreating and then collided again. Heavens, Lin Xian's fist technique actually blocked the two starry sky swords. Countless people cried out in surprise when they saw this scene. In the sky, Xing Yao's face became incomparably cold. His expression was even somewhat sinister. This scene was completely out of his expectations. In his opinion, he could easily kill his opponent with the two starry sky swords. But he didn't expect that. He didn't have the upper hand. That was because the terrifying fist technique used by his opponent was also incomparably terrifying. They were evenly matched. But he couldn't accept it. He was already a peak Saint Venerate. He was much stronger than his opponent. Moreover, he had returned from the buried Emperor Star. His strength was terrifying. Logically speaking, after he returned, he should be able to sweep through everything. But now he was blocked by someone. Damn guy, could it be that he used some secret technique? Or, did he secretly eat some elixir in advance? Just as his expression was sinister, he suddenly felt the power in front of him change again. It turned out that Lin Xian's fist had turned into a fierce tiger and was coming at him. And on his left hand, an incomparable sword chi flickered. The terrifying sword chi also let out a dragon's roar that resounded through the 9 heavens. It actually slashed it again. Boom. It was like a divine dragon came back to life. When the starry sky swords collided, an apocalyptic shockwave swept out in all directions. Not good. Retreat. The surrounding people frantically retreated. This energy was enough to threaten them. The sage kings were also shocked. A shattering sound rang out between the heavens and the earth. The two giant swords shattered amidst the dragon's roar. Countless sword lights and laws flew in all directions. Xing Yao snorted coldly and quickly dodged the attack with his starry sky map. At the same time, he looked in all directions, probably looking for another opportunity to attack. However, he did not find any trace of Lin Xian, which surprised him. What's going on? Could it be that Lin Xian had fallen in the impact of the laws? He was secretly delighted, but he didn't quite believe it. Lin Xian's body was a divine body. He shouldn't have fallen so easily. Sure enough, Xian's pupils shrank in the next moment. He felt the void behind him suddenly tear open, and a fist came at his head. Not good. He felt his hair stand on end. A starry sky chart quickly appeared behind him. It was like a cage that shrouded the area behind him. He quickly turned around and swung his sword again. Boom. The one who came out from behind was naturally Lin Xian. He used the void escape technique to avoid the attacks that filled the sky. He appeared behind Xian's back, and then used the tiger demon fist again. The black fist once again hit the starry sky chart, making a deafening sound. The starry sky chart kept shaking as if it was trying to dissolve the power. However, the power was really too strong. No matter how mysterious the starry sky chart was, it still cracked and then shattered. It only happened in an instant, but it was enough for an expert. For example, Xing Yao had already obtained enough time. He turned around, and the stars in his eyes were extinguished. Kid, you actually dare to attack me? You really don't know what's good for you. His eyes burst out with biting cold killing intent. Then terrifying starlight shone from his body. His power completely erupted and swept through the surroundings. At this moment, his body actually blossomed with a bright radiance, and it also became incomparably mysterious. Was this the star body? He actually succeeded. In the distance, the 7-star Saint King of the 7-star tower cried out in surprise when he saw this scene. Obviously, Lin Xian didn't have such a body before he left. It seemed that he had obtained it from the buried Emperor Star. That's right, it was the star body. After displaying his super strong body, Xing Yao regained his confidence. Kid, what do you have to contend with me now? The star body was an extremely terrifying body. It might not be comparable to the legendary super strong body, the 9-yang divine body. However, Xing Yao was a peak sacred venerate after all. His cultivation of the body far surpassed everything else. Therefore, he could use his cultivation to make up for the difference in the body. He was confident that no one could contend with him. Kid, everything can end now. Xing Yao waved his fists and palms, continuously striking out. It was as if 10,000 stars had appeared. Every strike caused a black hole to appear in the sky. The surrounding experts of the older generation felt their scalps go numb. In such a tense situation, it was likely that no one would dare to compete with Xingyao in terms of body. Lin Xian was also surprised. Previously, he could tell that Xingyao was borrowing the power of the stars. What he cultivated was the law of stars, a super strong divine ability. However, such a person's body shouldn't be too strong. But now he discovered that he was wrong. Xingyao actually also possessed a super strong body. The power of his close combat was also incomparably strong. In the next moment, the 9-young divine body blossomed with light again. The flames on it burned fiercely and turned into 10,000 suns. Then, like a golden crow, it spread its wings and soared. The divine flames that filled the sky swept out in all directions and collided with the vast starlight. Xingyao's palm also struck out. Boom. Then it collided with Xingyao's star palm once again. After that, the two of them attacked again. In an instant, tens of thousands of attacks rumbled. The void was torn apart like a canvas. The two of them fought from the sky to the ground. The surrounding people were all stunned. The expressions of the people of the mortal world became somewhat unsightly. Xingyao had already unleashed his star body, yet he was still unable to do anything to Xingyao. Chapter 43:59. Kid, you've completely angered me. How can a mere ant like you contend against my starlight? Go to hell. Xingyao's eyes were filled with killing intent as he formed a seal with his palms. Then, an extremely terrifying light appeared. Above his palm, a star appeared. It was like a mirage of a world as it smashed forward. Boom. Lin Xian waved his palm to resist. However, at this moment he was sent flying. He felt his arm go numb. It was as if this strike was really a world of stars that had landed on his body. It made him spit out a mouthful of blood. What was going on? Was Lin Xian injured? Was he going to lose? When the surrounding people saw this scene, they all exclaimed in surprise. That was impossible. That was the 9-young divine body. How terrifying was that? However, some people sighed. Although the divine body was strong, it was still 2 realms weaker than the opponent. To be able to hold on until now was enough to show the strength of the 9-young divine body. However, the opponent also had a super strong starry sky body. With the starlight of all the realms, he could sweep through everything. As expected, ants couldn't even withstand a single blow. Everyone in the human world revealed a smile. It seemed that this battle was over. After killing the opponent, they would leave this place and prepare for the next assassination plan. Although they couldn't kill all these people this time, the effect was not bad. At least these sage kings were all poisoned. First it was the curse, then it was the great sage's corpse poison. These people's strength was greatly reduced, and they probably wouldn't be able to recover in a short time. They just needed to plan carefully again, and they could send all these people to hell next time. However, their smiles soon disappeared, because they saw Lin Xian, who was sent flying while spitting out blood, walk over again. The other party's face was calm and expressionless. This gave them a bad feeling. What was going on? Wasn't he already injured? Why was he still so calm? Could it be that he still had some trump cards? Deliberately mystifying. Xingyao snorted when he saw this scene. No matter what the other party used, he was not afraid. His strength had completely surpassed the other party. Not to mention one Lin Xian. Even if these geniuses of the holy city were to attack together, they would still be able to contend against him. Because he came from the buried Emperor Star. It was enough to sweep through everything. But very quickly, he frowned because he felt a bone-chilling aura. A beam of sword aura appeared on Lin Xian's body and shrouded him. Then the sword chi flew in all directions, forming a world of sword Dao. It floated on Lin Xian's body. And this danger came from the sword chi. What a terrifying sword chi. When the people from Yellow Springs saw this scene, their faces turned cold as well. Even the people from the 10,000 Swords Pavilion sucked in a breath of cold air. They were the holy land of sword Dao, but at this moment, the opponent's sword seemed to be even stronger than theirs. Sacred King Divine Ghost looked at this scene with greed in his eyes. Wan Jiani, on the other hand, had a look of fear on his face. However, they managed to cover it up very well. The people of the mortal world also frowned. Damn it, this brat still had a trump card. And it was such a biting cold sword intent. Their expressions became incomparably cold. No wonder he was able to get on their kill order. Such a person was already so terrifying when he was only at the middle stage of the Saint Venerable realm. If he was allowed to grow, perhaps in the future, even sacred kings would not be able to suppress him. Between heaven and earth, everyone felt fear because of this biting cold sword intent. Lin Xian was indeed very calm. He felt that his body was full of power. The previous attack had indeed injured him and shocked him. But so what? His opponent had a trump card, but his trump card was stronger. He slowly raised his palm. An endless sword chi condensed in his hand. A sword light shone through the 9 heavens and 10 earths, and then slashed forward. Not good. Xing Yao's pupils shrank. He felt a fatal danger, so he did not resist. His body turned into a ray of starlight and instantly disappeared into the sky. A crack appeared where he was originally standing. It spread into the distance. Lin Xian's gaze was very light, and his cold voice sounded. It's useless, you can't escape. I'll let you see my sword world. As he spoke, the sword chi on his body erupted, completely enveloping the entire world. At this moment, it turned into a world of sword chi. Boundless sword chi swept in all directions. Wherever the void was, it kept shattering, and there was no way to dodge. As expected, Xing Yao discovered that the starry sky movement technique that he was so proud of seemed to have lost its effect at this moment. No matter where he hid, the sword chi could tear the void apart, and he could only passively defend. He roared angrily, took a deep breath, and the starry sky chart appeared again. And this time it had an even more biting cold aura. The Xiantian starry sky chart. The terrifying starry sky chart spread in all directions, forming a world of stars. It looked like it had turned into a universe, and it collided with the sword chi that filled the sky. Kill. With a roar, Xing Yao went all out and charged over aggressively. The two collided again, as if two worlds were fighting. The terrifying power caused the people outside to be unable to breathe. However, what was surprising was that in just an instant, cracks appeared on the Xiantian starry sky chart. And it spread to the surroundings. Crack. A crisp sound rang out, and the starry sky suddenly shattered into pieces, scattering all over the ground. The surrounding people were stunned. Did the starry sky break through? That frightening sword aura pierced through the stars in the sky and ruthlessly slashed toward Xing Yao. Not good. The pupils of the people in the human world shrank. If they were hit by such a terrifying sword chi, not many people below the Saint King level could withstand it. Xing Yao was probably in danger, unless he could use a special saint weapon. But previously, they had to prevent Lin Xian from using the Saint King Wu. Chi, they had already set the rules. Wu was not allowed. Chi, they didn't expect that they would shoot themselves in the foot now. Boom. An earth-shattering sound rang out, and then the world shattered. Blood dripped from the 9 heavens, piercing through the void. Everyone was shocked. He was injured. The faces of the people in the human world became extremely ugly. Those Saint King's gazes pierced through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. Sure enough, they found that it was Xing Yao who was injured. Even though Xing Yao used the starry sky physique with all his strength, he still couldn't block it. Many sword marks appeared on his body, and he flew into the distance like a kite with a broken string. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying roar lasted for a long time before it slowly dissipated. When the sword chi disappeared, everyone saw Lin Xian standing there with his hands behind his back. Sword Dao world surrounded him like a supreme sword god. On the opposite side, Xing Yao was bleeding, and his body was covered in wounds. Chapter 4360. Did he win? The people from the divine palace heaved a sigh of relief. The people from the sacred city also clenched their fists. It seems that this time, the people from the human world could retreat. However, in the sky, Xing Yao suddenly opened his eyes. His expression became incomparably malevolent. Brat, I didn't expect you to have such sword intent. Although you injured me, you didn't kill me. I will let you know how powerful I am. Do you think that I spent all these years in the buried Emperor Star in vain? I will let you see my harvest in the buried Emperor Star. One move. I only need one move to deal with you. What? He still wants to fight. When the surrounding people heard this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. They could already see that Xing Yao's astral body had been completely broken. He was definitely seriously injured and would not be able to recover in a short period of time. However, Xing Yao did not stop. He even said that he would kill Lin Xian in one move. The leader of the human world coldly snorted. Is he finally going to use that move? I didn't expect it to come to this. However, since Xing Yao was able to use that move, this brat can die in peace. Lin Xian frowned. Is he still going to attack? In the next moment his pupils shrank. That was because he saw that Xing Yao had gathered all the power in his body and fused it between his eyebrows. Moreover, a crack appeared between his eyebrows. A ray of starlight flickered from within. That starlight was extremely resplendent and covered all the light. It seemed to have become the only thing in the world. Northern starlight slash. Along with the appearance of the starlight, an ice-cold voice rang out. Then the northern starlight between his eyebrows flew out and turned into a peerless saber light that slashed forward. When this ray of starlight appeared, Xing Yao swayed and almost fell to the ground. It seemed that he had used up all his strength to use this move. The northern starlight flew out, slashing through the void and shattering the earth. It seemed to shake the 9 heavens and 10 earths. This power was really too terrifying. The expressions of the surrounding experts changed. A secret technique? It was too strong. If he didn't use the sacred King Wu, those below the sacred King realm would not be able to resist it. Their eyes were filled with despair. They felt that Lin Xian would not be able to resist it and would definitely die. Next, the human world would leave calmly. They only needed to reorganize a little, and these people would be able to come back again. At that time, would the poison in their bodies be cured? Haha, it's all over. You can go to hell for me. Xing Yao's face was pale, but he still had a sinister smile on his face. On the other side, Lin Xian's expression was also incomparably solemn when he felt this powerful aura. Final trump card? He was indeed powerful. It seemed that he had to use his trump card as well. Thinking of this, he took a deep breath, and the sword Dao world around him continued to evolve. Streaks of dragon-shaped sword chi flew out and gathered in his palm, forming the shadow of a dragon. 10 extremities dragon soul sword. The 10 extinction swords merged with the dragon soul and slashed forward. This kid's sword seemed to have become more powerful than before. When the surrounding people felt this scene, they all exclaimed in shock. The pupils of the people in the human world also shrank. That was impossible. However, they had no time to think. The two attacks collided once again and holy light filled the sky. This was simply an apocalyptic scene. The eyes of those Saint Kings flickered. They were afraid that this would end after this attack. They wondered who would win in the end. Crack. Originally, Xing Yao had a sinister smile on his face. He thought that his opponent would definitely die with his powerful attack. However, the scene in front of him made his face full of shock. The smile on his face suddenly froze. This was because he discovered that cracks had appeared on the northern star slash in front of him. Then with a cracking sound, it directly split open. Impossible. His most powerful superpower had actually been shattered? No. At this moment, his pride and confidence were all gone. It was as if glass had shattered on the ground. His eyes were filled with intense fear. He used the last bit of his remaining strength and quickly retreated. Facing Lin Xian, he was finally terrified. However, he couldn't escape at all. Between heaven and earth, the sharp sword chi shrouded him, and the cracks on it became even more terrifying. He was torn apart. Boom. Roar. Sir, save me. In the sky full of sword chi, a crazy roar sounded. The surrounding people were stunned. Had he lost? On the opposite side, the people of the mortal world narrowed their eyes when they saw this scene. They saw the northern star slash shatter. Not only that, even Xing Yao was torn apart. It seemed that his soul was also threatened. Umph. The Saint King leader snorted coldly with a sharp light in his eyes. He reached out a large hand and grabbed in front of him. It seemed that he wanted to make a move. After all, they had painstakingly nurtured Xing Yao and spent a lot of resources. It wasn't easy for him to reach this stage. If he died, they wouldn't be able to bear it. Oh no, have those Saint Slayers made a move? Seeing this scene, countless people exclaimed. No matter how strong Lin Xian was, he couldn't block the attack of a Saint King. At this moment, Xia Juyo let out a sound of heaven and earth and instantly shattered the large palm. Lin Xian let out a piercingly cold radiance as he let out a roar. The dragon's soul erupted, and a terrifying destructive sword intent slashed down. No. Xing Yao let out a miserable cry. He wanted to escape, but in the end his soul was destroyed. His entire body and soul were destroyed. Damn it, how dare you! The Saint Kings of the mortal world roared crazily. Did the other party really kill Xing Yao? Damn it! Their hearts were bleeding. In an instant, many people exuded a terrifying killing intent that pierced through the 9 heavens. In an instant, 6 Saint Kings attacked Lin Xian together. Do you have a death wish? I knew you wouldn't be satisfied. Immortal Scholar snorted coldly, and the indestructible frost fan flew out, and shot out a monstrous frost that swept over. On the other side, the people from the sacred land also made a move. Gee. They all appeared in front of Lin Xian, and blocked the terrifying superpower. Little guy, go back first. Lin Xian nodded and returned to Xia Zhuyo's side. At the same time, the corner of his mouth curled up into a cold smile. In the mortal world, you're considered the top existences. As a Saint King, do you not keep your word? I've already won this competition. Hurry up and hand over the antidote to the great sage corpse poison. Humph, kid, you actually dared to kill the person we've painstakingly nurtured. You're dead meat. No one in the 9 heavens and 10 earths can save you. And let me tell you, there's no antidote to the great sage corpse poison. All of you, just wait for death. At this point they all laughed sinisterly. Attack. The 2 Saint Kings roared and wanted to attack. Immortal Scholar snorted coldly, as expected of despicable and shameless people. Since that's the case, I can't let you live. At this point, endless blue Dao runes appeared on his body, and an array formation appeared under his feet. It instantly spread out in all directions. In an instant, the world was frozen. Chapter 4361. The expressions of the mortal realm's sage kings changed. This icy aura was the indestructible cold sky formation. Damn it! When did you set it up? The mortal realm's sage kings were simply too shocked. This was the legendary formation that sealed everything in ice. Even sage kings would find it hard to escape. However, this formation had a flaw. It required a very long time to prepare. Furthermore, once it was set up, it could not be kept for too long. Hence, it could only be used in battle. However, in battle, the enemy would not give it a chance. Unexpectedly, the other party actually managed to lay out the indestructible cold sky formation. Ice Scholar, I really underestimated you. However, it will not be that easy for you to kill us. Just wait. The mortal realm will descend once more. Let's go. After speaking, the people of the mortal realm quickly retreated. You want to leave? Ice sealing the world. The indestructible cold sky formation erupted, and the entire world froze. The people of the mortal realm even formed ice, sealing the world in ice. This is great. The deity Dao Union's people all revealed smiles. However, just at this moment, there was the sound of ice shattering. Suddenly, a lotus flower appeared on the people of the mortal realm. The black lotus flower directly bloomed and broke through the ice. Then those lotus flowers withered. However, the people of the mortal realm had already vanished. What's going on? Did they leave? The deity Dao Union's people showed unsightly expressions. Damn it! Did the person behind the other party make a move? Lin Xian frowned. It was another black lotus flower. Right now, Xiaochen was extremely certain that the mortal realm had a close connection with the black lotus flower. One day, Xiaochen would personally destroy the mortal realm, and find out who the master behind the black lotus flower was. Did they leave? Were we saved? Those Holy Land geniuses all released their bated breaths, feeling like they had just survived a calamity. Those sage kings also released their bated breaths. There was no helping it. Several sage kings had already fallen. Some were even severely injured. Indeed, that was the case. On the Azure Sea Pavilion side, the Azure Sea Sovereign's complexion also turned incredibly pale. The earlier battle had severely injured the Azure Sea Sovereign. Master! The Azure Sea Sovereign clenched his teeth. The situation was extremely bad. He probably had to immediately enter closed-door cultivation. Once that happened, their Azure Sea Palace would be leaderless. Not only them, but even the Holy Kings from the Joyous Union Hall and 7-Star Pavilion would have to enter seclusion immediately. The people from the Kunlun pavilion walked out and said, I can help you get some more jade pool water, but I don't know if it will be effective. At this time, the Frost Scholar also walked out and said, as long as the world of men doesn't get rid of the world will be destroyed. The second astral realm, and even the myriad realms were in danger. Therefore, from now on, no holy city-level battles were allowed in the second astral realm. If any holy city wants to make a move, then don't blame us for being impolite. Just like that, a shocking battle came to an end. However, everyone's heart was very heavy. After all, as long as the world was not destroyed, they would be in danger. Furthermore, the human world was extremely mysterious. No one knew where their sect was located. Therefore, even if these people wanted to take revenge, they didn't know where to start. He could only wait for the other party. Next time, find someone. The door opened. It seemed that the most important thing now was to get rid of the poison. You can go to the Jade Lake when the time comes. The Jade Lake holy water there is very mysterious. The people of the deity Dao Union said a few words, and then left. Some of these people also have a baby. Clearly they also hid their identities. Even if they revealed their faces, it was probably after they changed their appearances. These people were like guardian deities. They would not appear normally. Once there was danger, they would instantly make a move. Now that the world of men left, they had to be nervous again. Xiaojiu's face turned even paler. Clearly, using his strength earlier had consumed a lot of his energy. Lin Xian said, Old Xia, quickly go and rest. There shouldn't be any danger here. Lin Xian felt that the best way for Xiaojiu now was to enter the divine crystal and sleep. Xiaojiu said, All right, be careful here. After saying that, he also disappeared. On the other side, the reincarnation protector and the others also left. Only the shattered ground and the cracked sky remained. The immemorial grotto originally held a grand event. However, now it was a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Countless experts and geniuses died. Most of the people in the world of men were from the holy lands and holy cities. Every holy city was bleeding. Peerless Holy King stared at the immemorial grotto and said coldly, There's no such coincidence in the world. You'd better give us an explanation. Once he said that, many holy kings stared at the immemorial grotto. Holy King Spirit Yin snorted. What? You still suspect that I'm in cahoots with the world of men? Don't forget that we also suffered heavy losses. Even my grandson was killed. That's right, don't slander me. Holy King Silver Corpse also walked out, emitting a cold aura. Peerless Holy King and the others said, Whether it's true or not, I don't need to say more. You'd better be careful in the future. The other holy kings also gasped. It seemed that they had to stay away from the immemorial grotto and Acheron Palace in the future. All right, let's go to the Jade Pool. Use the holy water there to detoxify the poison. Holy King Kunlun stood up and said coldly. His face was also incomparably pale. The other holy kings nodded and left together. After all, who knew if the people of the world of men would come back again? Lin Xian and the others also left with them. In an instant, the surroundings quieted down. However, there were still some people who did not leave. Among them, other than the immemorial grotto and Acheron Palace, there were also 10,000 Sword Pavilion and Great Desolate Mansion. At this moment, the people of Great Desolate Mansion were incomparably gloomy. Even the void broke open, and another figure walked out. It was also a holy king. However, it was obvious that he was older. He said, What's going on? Didn't you say that there was no danger? How could my junior brother have fallen? This old man was actually Holy King Desolate Heaven's senior brother. At this moment, his expression was incomparably cold. 10,000 Sword Pavilion's Holy King Divine Ghost also frowned. They had also suffered heavy losses in this battle. However, Holy King Spirit Yin said, Why are you so anxious? It's not like he's really fallen. After saying that, he formed a hand seal and quickly transmitted his voice to the void. All right, the people of the deity Dao Union have left. You can come out now. After a while, two figures appeared between heaven and earth. One was that mysterious woman, and the other was also a holy king. He wore a black robe that covered his face. At this moment he gritted his teeth and said, "Damn it, I didn't expect them to escape even after such meticulous preparations. It's nothing. This time, we'll severely injure them. Next time, we can take them down one by one." Chapter 4362. The Black-Robed Sage King nodded. With a flip of his hand, a blood-red flag appeared in the sky. The flag fluttered and an endless sea of blood appeared. Figures appeared one after another. They were all enveloped by the sea of blood. At this moment, they all had pained expressions. Among them, there were a few terrifying figures. They were the souls of the Sage Kings. There was also one who cried out, "Grandpa, save me." He was Shiryunhu. At this moment, the black-robed Sage King waved his hand and Shiryunhu's soul was released. At the same time, another person's soul was released. The desolate Heaven Saint King roared as soon as he appeared. His shattered body rapidly healed. Then he appeared again. However, his aura was clearly much weaker than before. Damn it! Was there a need to act so seriously? Sage King Huang Tian's expression was cold. This time he was severely injured. He would need a long time to recover. Sage King Yanling said, "Fellow Taoist, you've suffered. However, if you didn't do this, how would we believe you?" Even so, he was still suspicious. Shiryunhu was also released. He gritted his teeth and said, "Grandpa, you must kill that Lin Xian. I want to tear him into pieces." "Don't worry. There will be plenty of chances." Sage King Yanling's eyes shone with a cold light. "Damn it. Let us out." Countless roars could be heard. Among them, there were two extremely terrifying voices. These were the souls of two Sage Kings. They were sealed in the sea of blood. One of them was the Thunder Sage King, and the other was the Giant Spirit Sage King from the Spirit Gathering Pavilion. The two of them were furious. The black-robed Sage King laughed. "You want to come out? Impossible. Just stay in there obediently. Don't worry. We'll teach you how to become puppets. We won't waste your energy." "Damn it!" The Giant Spirit Sage King roared. The Thunder Sage King said, "Thunder Sage City and Wushuang City have a grudge too. Let me out and we'll work together. How about that?" Hearing this, the Silver Corpse Sage King laughed coldly. "I know that you guys have a grudge too. However, since you're already like this, then be obedient and let me use you. I'll turn you into a puppet, and we can work together." "Damn it! I'll kill you!" The Thunder God Saint King roared. However, he was restrained by a mysterious force and was unable to escape. The black-clothed Saint King said, "Don't waste your energy. This saint weapon is beyond your imagination. You won't be able to escape." With that, he flipped his hand, and the blood-red flag disappeared into the sky. The sea of blood and the souls disappeared as well. On the other side, the injured Saint Kings had all arrived at the Jade Lake Sacred Ground. The Jade Lake Sacred Leader personally received them and opened the Jade Lake for them to enter. Given the current situation, they had to work together because the world of mortals was not only affecting the holy city of the second astral realm. Even the sacred grounds of the true spirit world were affected. Therefore, they had to work together to resist the human world. This had happened before. This would happen once every tens of thousands of years. Even more than 100,000 years ago, there was once a top-notch holy land that joined forces to fight against the human world. That time, the human world suffered a heavy blow and went into hibernation for nearly 100,000 years. This time, there would probably be another earth-shaking battle. The Saint Lords all entered. They were extremely grateful. At this moment, these holy masters were sitting cross-legged in the Jade Lake, forming hand seals with their palms. They were using the Jade Lake to fight against the great sage's corpse poison within their bodies. However, they still had to suppress the curse. It could be said that they were extremely weak. On the peerless Saint King's side, the law of Devour was constantly floating behind him. Lin Xian walked over and asked, "Senior brother, how is it?" The peerless Saint King said, "It was effective, but it was very slow. It would be troublesome for him to recover completely in a short period of time." Lin Xian took a deep breath and said, "Senior brother, let me remove the curse for you first." After he finished speaking, he sat down cross-legged and unleashed the Great Dragon Sword Soul. His energy surged into the Great Dragon Sword. The curse in his body had been completely removed. Moreover, He had helped the Green Mountain Sacred King remove the curse before. Therefore, he was very familiar with it. The great dragon sword soul's energy entered the peerless Saint King's body and began to remove the curse. This scene was naturally seen by the others. Instantly, there was a lot of discussion. No way. Lin Xian was going to remove the poison from the peerless Saint King's body? How could a middle Saint Master like him help a Saint King? The young geniuses did not believe it. However, they did not leave quietly. 5 days later, the peerless Saint King suddenly opened his eyes and roared into the sky. The devouring whirlpool behind him was even more terrifying. It was obvious that the curse had been removed. Next was the great sage's corpse poison. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. Was it really effective? They were too shocked. What exactly did Lin Xian have? It was so magical. This news spread, and for a moment, the sacred cities were also shocked. Soon, the Haiyu Saint King of the Joyous Union Palace had an idea. She asked Qin Xianer to personally invite Lin Xian. Qin Xianer came and explained her intention. Lin Xian smiled. Of course. He followed Qin Xianer and walked in the fairy lake. They arrived at the Bus Saint King's place. The Haiyu Saint King looked at Lin Xian and said, "Young Master Lin, if you can help me remove the curse, the Joyous Union Palace, and I will be very grateful. I will also give you a big gift." The Haiyu Saint King was being courteous. Lin Xian did not dare to be arrogant in front of a Saint King. Even if a Saint King was severely injured, it was still extremely terrifying. Hence he nodded and said, "Next I will let the sword chi enter your body. I hope you will not resist." The Haiyu Saint King nodded. If it was someone else, the Haiyu Saint King would not dare to do it. This was because it was too dangerous. If the other party attacked, he would be injured even more severely. However, if it was Lin Xian, he was not worried. Lin Xian slowly formed a seal with his palms. The power of the great dragon sword soul appeared again. It entered the Haiyu Saint King's body and began to remove the curse. To be honest, Lin Xian was very happy to help these Saint Kings remove the curse. After all, these Saint Kings would definitely fight against the world in the future. With one more Saint King, their side would become stronger. Moreover, these Saint Kings would definitely be grateful for his help this time. They might even give him a big gift. A gift from a Saint King would definitely bring him unexpected benefits. The power of the great dragon sword soul exploded and quickly destroyed the curse. 7 days later, the Haiyu Saint King opened her eyes. The curse was really removed. Her aura had recovered a little. "Master." The geniuses of the Joyous Union Palace also gathered around, their faces filled with excitement. "Young Master Lin, thank you. We are very grateful." These people thanked him one after another. Qin Xianer's eyes shone brightly. "Young Master Lin, it is hard to repay your kindness. No matter what you request, we will agree to it." The surrounding Saint Kings were still hesitating. They did not believe that a young man could help them. Chapter 4363. This Lin Xian could really help them remove the curse. Thinking of this, their eyes turned red. "Hurry up and invite young Master Lin over." These sage kings all sent people and prepared to present a huge gift. Soon, the youths of the various great sage lands also came to invite Lin Xian. Lin Xian said, "No rush, I have to do it one by one." Indeed, with his strength, doing so would consume a lot of his energy. But fortunately, these sage cities would provide him with sufficient resources and treasures. Lin Xian did not have to worry about the problem of energy consumption. Of course, not all the sage cities came. At least, those sage cities that were against Wushuang City did not come. However, Thunder God City did come because they were like a group of dragons without a leader. Their sage king was killed, so they could only follow. Now that they saw Lin Xian helping more and more sage kings, they felt their scalps go numb. If Lin Xian wanted to make a move on them now, no one would be able to resist him. My Thunder God City still has a sage king that has been in a deep sleep. Now it seems like he will be awakened. The elders took a deep breath and prepared to use their strongest trump cards. Otherwise, with the threat of the secular world present, their Thunder God City would definitely be destroyed. On the other side, the 1,000 monstrous cities Golden Crow clan had left. Demon City did not come to Jade Lake's sacred ground at all, which made everyone suspicious. "Master, don't you need to cure the poison?" Nine-headed Qilin was shocked. He could clearly feel that the soaring Sky Sage King was injured and poisoned. But why did he not go to Jade Lake? Could it be because of Wuxia City? The others also frowned. He said that in this situation, we should work together to deal with the human world. I don't think Wuxia City will make things difficult for us. However, the Divine King snorted coldly. You don't have to care about this. I have my own ways. The soaring Sky Sage King's face was cold. He said to the people behind him, "Go to Demon King Palace now. I still have some things to do." With that, he tore open the void and disappeared. He actually returned to the primordial grotto. The Saint Kings from the ancient grotto frowned. Who was it? Come out. The silver corpse Saint King shattered the void. In the next instant he was stunned. It's you. That's right, it's me. Soaring Sky Saint Monarch walked out of the broken space and said, I know your connection with the mortal world, so there's no need to hide it from me. I'm here for the antidote. Give me the antidote and I'll join you. Have you thought it through? Once you join, not only will your entire myriad demon city join as well, to be used by me. I naturally understand this. Soaring Sky Saint King nodded, a cold light flashing in his eyes. He had his own reasons for doing so, because he felt that the human world would eventually emerge victorious in this battle. Therefore he came here in advance. When the time came, he would be able to obtain a lot of benefits. Very good, welcome. Holy King Yanling and Holy King Silver Corpse smiled. 3 months later, the Saint Kings of the Jade Lake sacred ground all let out roars that shook the heavens and earth. Their curses had already disappeared, and the remaining Great Sage Corpse poison could be removed with the Jade Lake sacred water. It was just a matter of time. On this day, many Saint Kings stood up and walked towards a palace in the distance. There was a young figure sitting cross-legged there. It was Lin Xian. Young Master Lin, thank you for your help. We will remember this favor in our hearts. If you need anything in the future, please don't hesitate to ask. The ones who said this were Saint Kings. If others saw this, they would definitely be shocked. Because Lin Xian was only a mid-stage Saint Sovereign, these Saint Kings treated him so well. They didn't even treat Lin Xian as a junior. Of course, this was because Lin Xian had sufficient talent and strength. Lin Xian also stood up. The Saint Kings were too courteous. In the future, when I appear in the human world, I will still need your help. Lin Xian was a deity palace master. In addition, he was Peerless Saint King's junior brother. Therefore, his status was not inferior to the Saint Kings. When the Saint Kings heard this, they nodded. No problem. The human world was too hateful. As long as there is a chance, we will definitely work together. Indeed, if the human world continues to exist, it will be a fatal threat to every Saint city. The Saint Kings took out their interspatial rings and gave them to Lin Xian. There were many treasures inside. Next, Peerless Saint King also walked over. He called the other Saint Kings over and prepared to discuss the next step. The Saint Kings also said, since the human world has made a move this time, they will definitely not let this matter rest. Moreover, I guess that they are related to those people in the immemorial grotto. Therefore, we will have to do our best to eliminate the remaining ones. The other Saint Kings also nodded. Peerless Saint King said, fortunately, there is only half a year left. At that time, we can let our disciples go to the buried Emperor Star. They can also avoid being targeted by the human world. Indeed, once they go to the buried Emperor Star, there should be no danger, right? Everyone discussed spiritedly. In the end, they decided that it would be better to rest and recuperate during this period of time. Firstly, they could preserve their strength. Secondly, they could avoid unnecessary trouble. Therefore, the Saint Kings continued to detoxify, while the young genius disciples went into seclusion. They were waiting for the final opportunity. Peerless Saint King found Lin Xian and said, Junior brother, if you don't want to go into seclusion, you can go to the nothingness to take a look. The nothingness, what is that? Lin Xian was shocked. Peerless Saint King said that it is an eternal land. It is very strange and it is in the true spirit world. After Lin Xian heard this, he was also very shocked. He was prepared to go and explore it. After all, this place should have many benefits. Indeed, Peerless Saint King said that the nothingness is a very mysterious place. It is called the Eternal Land because the time there is fixed. Fixed? What does that mean? Lin Xian was shocked. Peerless Saint King said that there is only a period of time in the nothingness. There you have neither past nor future, only eternity. Eternity, what is that? Peerless Saint King said. I don't know the details. I only know that there is a battle recorded in that place. A battle that happened 100,000 years ago. That battle was recorded in the nothingness. Once you enter the nothingness, you will be able to see that battle. It is a shocking battle that will be very helpful to you. Countless geniuses want to see it, but whether or not you can see it depends on your ability. After Lin Xian heard this, he took a deep breath. Is there such a magical place? Then he really has to go take a look. At this time, two other figures also came over to prepare to go with him. They were Guan Songhai and Qin Xianer. Guan Songhai should be because Saint King Songhai was heavily injured. Chapter 43-64. As for Qin Xianer, it was obvious that she was sent by Liyue Sage King to repay her kindness. Lin Xian did not have any objections to this. After all, both of them were friends. As for Shen Jingqiu and Murong Qingcheng, they chose to stay behind to cultivate. After obtaining the map, Lin Xian and the other two were ready to set off. Riding on a huge flying sword, they quickly disappeared between heaven and earth. Not long after they disappeared, a few more figures appeared in the temple. Come, I'm back. The dark red dragon's voice rang out. The people in the temple were shocked. It's you. When Peacock and the others realized, they were also stunned. That's right, the ones who returned were the dark red dragon, the toad, little white black mountain, and the North Demon. Is that kid back yet? I've heard about him everywhere. So it's Lord Dragon. Peacock and the others knew about the dark red dragon. They knew that he was Lin Xian's friend, so they were extremely respectful. Peacock told them about some things that happened previously. After hearing that, the dark red dragon gritted his teeth. Damn, those people in the human world actually made a move. Moreover, they almost killed so many Sage Kings. How despicable. The North Demon and Black Mountain were equally shocked. Black Mountain's eyes flickered. Finally, they couldn't help but make a move. Where is that kid? They asked and found out that he was at Yaoqi. They then flew over. When they arrived at Yaoqi, they realized that Lin Xian and the others had already left. They actually went to the void? The dark red dragon's eyes flickered. The toad asked, should we go too? I'm very curious about that place. The dark red dragon said. Let's go to a few other places. There are also good things there. The little white monkey also blinked his eyes. The three of them started to discuss again. On the other side, Black Mountain said, Disciple, you go take a look. I'm also going to take a look at this legendary true spirit world. Black Mountain left alone. The North Demon took a deep breath and shook his body quickly. He also had some people to meet. After all, this was his hometown. Lin Xian and the others did not know that the dark red dragon and the others had returned. At this moment, they had already arrived at their destination. There was a mysterious aura up ahead. The Void Land was located in the northern plains. It was extremely desolate. Moreover, there weren't any living creatures here, so ordinary people wouldn't dare to approach. But now there were quite a number of people. Clearly, they were here to enter the Void Land. When Lin Xian and the others arrived at this place, they felt a mysterious aura in the surrounding figures, which made them frown. It seemed that this place was mysterious and dangerous. Furthermore, there was also intense competition. Let's go and see what mysteries this place has. They quickly flew over. At the same time, the expressions of the people around them changed. Many people instantly dodged. What was going on? Why was he hiding from those three people? Were they very powerful? Some people did not know. However, one of the elders frowned. You don't know? That person is Lin Xian. He's extremely terrifying. What? Is he Lin Xian? The legendary Lin Wudi, the central emperor of the past? It was said that he had recently been involved in a great battle. He had killed many geniuses. I didn't expect him to come here too. Yes, I heard that there are other experts here. Even those rising geniuses such as Han Chong and the others are here too. I really don't know how those mysterious geniuses compare to Lin Wudi. In the end, who was more tyrannical? Ahead, the Void Land. For the time being, no one dared to enter it. However, there were many people standing on the surrounding mountains. Every mountain peak represented a power. It seemed like these people were all waiting for the right moment. Those who could come here were all terrifying experts and powerful geniuses. However, these people were not the most dazzling at this moment. The most dazzling person was on top of a tall mountain. It was a man standing there with his hands behind his back. His body was surrounded by a terrifying halo. He was like a god that filled the sky, extremely dazzling. Countless people looked at this figure with awe in their eyes. This person was extremely powerful. He had been a genius since young. Now he had grown to the late stage of the Saint Venerable realm. He was not far from the Saint King realm. He was the genius of the Wavering Light Holy Land, the Wavering Light Saint. Although the geniuses from the outer realm had arrived and mysterious geniuses had risen, it still could not hide the Wavering Light Saint's sharpness. After so many years, logically speaking, he should have been able to take over the entire Wavering Light Holy Land. However, he did not do so. He chose a person who had recovered from the divine crystal and became the Holy Lord again. He was still the saint, but he was probably the one who had the final say in the entire Holy Land. At this moment, the Wavering Light Saint's eyes flickered as he looked into the distance. His gaze was very calm, but it was incomparably deep. No one knew what he was thinking. This guy was becoming more and more unfathomable. There were also other figures on the surrounding mountains. For example, there was a figure that was abnormally hazy. It was Gu Feng. Naturally, he had also come. When he saw the Wavering Light Saint, he also frowned. The Wavering Light Saint also gave him a dangerous feeling. He didn't expect there to be such a peerless genius in the spiritual world. Beside Gu Feng stood Wan Jiani and the others. At this moment, Wan Jiani looked at the Wavering Light Saint in surprise. He had always thought that his peerless enemy was Lin Xian, or this Gu Feng in front of him. He didn't care about the others. He was even confident that he could fight against those who had risen up. But at this moment, when he saw the Wavering Light Saint, he felt a chill run down his spine. Under the other party's calm gaze, there was an extremely terrifying power. Wan Jiani really didn't expect there to be such a terrifying person. Such a person actually didn't walk the path of the stars. At this moment, a figure from the Gu family appeared on the mountain peak and said respectfully to Gu Feng, "Young master, that Lin Xian is here." Hearing this, Gu Feng frowned and asked how many people he had brought. He should have brought a lot of experts from the Divine Palace. However, that person said that the other party had only brought 2 people. They were Guan Songhai from the Deep Sea Palace and Qin Xiener from the Joyous Union Palace. Hearing this, Gu Feng was surprised. Only 2 young geniuses? This kid was really bold. Wan Jiani's eyes exploded with a piercing cold light. He said that now was a good opportunity to kill him. He had endless secrets on him. If you could kill him, then all the treasures on him would be yours. Kill him? There was no hurry. Gu Feng narrowed his eyes. "Let's talk about it after we investigate the situation." Wan Jiani said, "Don't worry. If you suspect there is someone behind you, I will help you." A piercing cold light flashed in his eyes. During this period of time, Gu Feng had indeed brought him to the All Beginnings Holy Land. In the past few months, he had cultivated the All Beginnings Holy Land's cultivation technique, and cultivated the aura of primal chaos. This made his sword of primal chaos even more terrifying. Chapter 4365. What Wan Jiani didn't know was that during this period of time, Lin Xian had been using the Great Dragon Sword Soul to detoxify these Sage Kings. And these Sage Kings gave each of them a large number of heavenly treasures out of gratitude. There were even some insights and experiences of the Sage Kings. Lin Xian's gains during this period of time were also extremely terrifying. His trump cards had become even more abundant. Even the great Tao insights that the Sage Kings personally imparted were incomparable to others. Of course, these things only happened in the Jade Pool, and others had no way of knowing. At this moment, 3 streams of light flew over from the void. Then a vast amount of energy swept out in all directions. Countless people raised their heads to look at the sky, and then exclaimed one after another. They saw 3 figures appear in the sky. Someone said that they were the geniuses of the holy city. No, the person in the middle was Lin Xian. the central emperor of the past. Indeed, such a peerless genius had also come. Everyone gasped. Some people exclaimed, some were envious, and some had cold killing intent in their eyes. In the sky, Lin Xian and the other two arrived and looked around. He also saw some familiar figures. He didn't expect that this void land would attract so many experts. Let's find a place first. Lin Xian looked at a mountain peak in front of him. It was very close to the void land. So he waved his hand and led the three of them to quickly fly forward. In an instant, they landed on the mountain peak. However, at this moment, a cold laugh was heard. Get lost, this place is ours. The voice was cold and merciless as it spread in all directions. The surrounding people were all stunned. Who dared to provoke these three geniuses at this time? Behind the three of them stood three colossi. Lin Xian frowned, and the faces of Qing Xian, and Guan Songhai also darkened. They turned their heads. In front of them, the void split open, and some people walked out. Walking at the front was a very handsome man. He was wearing a Taoist robe, and his eyes were sharp. He had an extremely strong spatial power. We, the ancient race, have taken a fancy to this place, so the three of you get lost. Ancient race. People from the emperor race? Many people were stunned when they heard this. Originally, they thought that it was someone who didn't know what death was, but now it seemed that it wasn't necessarily so. The ancient race was a great emperor family. How terrifying was their background and strength. Moreover, the other party cultivated spatial divine abilities. What a terrifying clan this was. Now that they had come out, they wanted to forcibly occupy this mountain peak. Even if Lin Xian and the other two were powerful, they wouldn't be able to resist them. You don't want to live? At this moment, Guan Songhai also said cold. There was an extremely cold glint in his eyes. Who dared to block their path? You have a deaths. The people at the front started laughing as well. You dare to challenge our ancient race? I think you're the one who doesn't know the difference between life and death. Get lost you are. After saying that, these people exuded an extremely terrifying space law, covering a part of the world. Of course, TS is S. In fact, he would be banished to the void without even having to fight. Spatial power again? Guan Songhai frowned. He wasn't unfamiliar with this because Gu Feng was famous in the second astral realm. However, he didn't expect Gu Feng's family to be even more terrifying than he had imagined. Everyone here would be top geniuses in the second astral realm. But so what? He wasn't weak either. Therefore he said, I've always wanted to see how powerful the emperor race is. Today I'll take the lead. Guan Songhai snorted coldly. The laws of water on his body continued to erupt. A terrifying wave swept out in all directions, and the surrounding sky was completely painted into a sea. The surrounding people's faces changed. It couldn't be, could it? Was this fella really going to make a move against the ancient race? There was a loud boom. A wave palm flew out like a sea dragon surging between the heavens and the earth. He didn't know what death was. The man from the Gu family snorted coldly as well. He waved his hand, and a huge crack tore open, charging towards the wave. The two fought instantly. Terrifying laws swept through the 9 heavens. Between heaven and earth, the terrifying laws of water and the terrifying laws of space spread out. In an instant, the two were equally matched. All right. At this moment a voice sounded. Kid, if you brought the people from the temple, you could still fight with me. But now, with just the 3 of you, you're a little pitifully weak. Hearing this, Guan Songhai stopped and turned his head to look. Lin Xian and Gu Feng turned their heads as well. So it's you. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a piercing cold light. The other party was none other than Gu Feng. Gu family, how impressive. However, I'm afraid you can't stop me. Unless all the experts of the Gu family come out. Lin Xian's eyes shone with an extremely cold light. He indeed had such confidence. The Gu family's laws of space were terrifying and unpredictable. However, he had the great dragon sword soul, and could cut through the void. Therefore, he wasn't afraid at all. Is that so? Since you're so confident, why don't you add my 10,000 swords pavilion? Another voice was heard. Immediately after, Wang Jinyi walked over with the 10,000 swords pavilion. Sword chi overflowed from their bodies, making everyone's scalp go numb. Such a terrifying sword Dao expert joined hands with the Gu family. It seemed that even if Lin Xian had the temple behind him, he was still in danger. Qin Xianer and Guan Songhai frowned. This time, only the three of them came, but they didn't expect to meet so many people. Moreover, these people seemed to have brought enough experts. They were afraid that they were really in danger. Lin Xian, on the other hand, laughed. Who was I then? So it was you. What right do you have to be arrogant in front of me after being defeated? You weren't my opponent before, and I'm afraid you still aren't. Feeling Lin Xian's mocking smile, Wang Jianyi's pupils shrank and his face became abnormally ferocious. Kid, I've lost to you before, but so what? I'm no longer the same as I was back then. Do you really think that I can't beat you now? He took a step forward, and a terrifying sword chi instantly erupted. A huge crack appeared between heaven and earth, as if the entire world was being split apart. Kid, if you want to be our enemy now, I'm afraid the three of you will be exiled in an instant. Therefore, I advise you to be sensible. Gu Feng sneered as if victory was in his hands. Do you really think that you can defeat me with just the few of you? Lin Xian also laughed. Tell me, what do you want? Chapter 4366. That was indeed the case. Lin Xian knew that although there were fewer people on their side, every one of them was extremely terrifying and powerful, especially his strength. During this period of time, he had benefited from healing the Sage King, causing his strength to increase again. Therefore, he was not afraid of facing these people. Moreover, he also knew that the Gu family did not dare to start a war with him. After all, there were other powerful experts around, eyeing him covetously. Once they started a war, the others would reap the benefits. Very simple. You and I will have a duel. No matter who wins or loses, at least before entering the Void Land, we will not attack you again. The person who said this was naturally Wang Jianyi. Now that he had cultivated the chaotic energy, he naturally could not wait to attack. Gu Feng was naturally happy to do so. He had already controlled Wang Jianyi, so he wanted to use Wang Jianyi to test what level Lin Xian had reached. You still dare to attack me? Lin Xian's eyes flickered. I don't know who gave you the courage, but since it's like this, I'll get rid of you once and for all. Lin Xian looked ahead, and a biting cold murderous intent appeared in his eyes. Obviously, although Wang Jianyi was not as good as him, he was definitely an expert in the sword Dao. He did not want Wang Jianyi to continue growing. Kid, you will regret this. I will make you suffer 100 times more pain. Wang Jianyi's eyes emitted a biting cold light, and in the next moment his aura exploded. It caused the void between heaven and earth to shatter continuously. The people on the surrounding mountain peaks narrowed their eyes. Interesting. He didn't expect to see such a battle even before entering the Void Land. On a mountain peak, the Alcade Saint looked ahead, and a mysterious light flickered in his eyes. He whispered, Lin Xian, I did not expect you to return after so many years. Let me see what kind of strength you've obtained on the ancient road of stars over the years. Although the Alcade Saint was not ranked among the 5 heroes, his strength was indeed unfathomable. No one had ever dared to underestimate him. Therefore, he was very interested in Lin Xian now. Kid, prepare to die. In front, Wang Jianyi took a step forward, and a majestic sword will swept out in all directions like a storm. That aura caused the expressions of the surrounding geniuses to change. This person's sword chi was terrifying. Even the experts of the older generation were frowning. It had to be said that the other party did indeed have the qualifications to fight with Lin Xian. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he felt the sword chi coming from his opponent's body. Has his strength increased again? No wonder he dares to attack me. It had to be said that this fellow was indeed a genius in the sword Dao. Thinking of this, he snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the 9 suns divine flame burst forth from his body. He was like the sun god of war, sweeping through the 9 heavens. The terrifying aura caused the surrounding people to suck in a breath of cold air. As expected of Lin Wudi, the legendary Central Emperor, his strength was indeed powerful. Wang Jianyi naturally knew how powerful Lin Xian was, so he did not dare to be careless. He immediately used 10,000 swords returned to origin as well as a powerful array formation. Spirit extinguishing sword formation. A terrifying sword formation appeared between heaven and earth, capable of destroying everything. On the other side, Lin Xian was like a peerless sun god of war. His fists were wide open, sweeping in all directions. With one strike, the man-ruler seal descended from the sky, slapping directly at the spirit-extinguishing sword formation. Too powerful. When the surrounding people saw this, they all sucked in a breath of cold air. Boom. The strike was like the palm of a god. The spirit-extinguishing sword formation was directly shattered, and Wang Jiani was also sent flying with a cold expression. Lin Xian said, "Is this all you've got? I don't even need to look at you. What other trump cards do you have? Take them out. Otherwise, you have no chance of winning. Damn brat, you're really arrogant. But do you really think I don't have any trump cards?" An extremely cold light appeared in Wang Jiani's eyes. He did not expect Lin Xian to become stronger during this period of time. But so what? This time, he had cultivated the chaotic qi. In the next moment he roared angrily, and an extremely terrifying aura appeared from his body. Then a sword light flew out. Above it, a terrifying energy spread out in all directions. There was actually the aura of primal chaos spreading out from it. This is... The surrounding people looked at the sword light in the sky, and then their expressions turned grave. Many experts of the older generation gasped. Heavens, why do I feel the aura of primal chaos from it? That's right, it's the aura of primal chaos. Could it be that this sword light is the primal chaos sword light? Cries of surprise rang out. On a mountain peak in the distance, the people of the Gu family sneered. This Lin Xian is dead for sure this time. Wang Jiani has already cultivated the primal chaos sword light. The might of that sword Dao is unparalleled. I don't believe that brat can block it. On another mountain peak, the wavering light Saint Sun was also shocked. Primal chaos light? He did not expect the people of the holy city to have connections with the all beginnings holy ground. They even cultivated the primal chaos light. Interesting. Someone beside him asked, Saint Sun, does this mean that Lin Xian will be defeated? The wavering light Saint Sun indeed said that it was not certain. After all, his foundation was also very powerful. Therefore, let's wait and see how this battle will turn out. Although he said that, his gaze was still firmly fixed on Lin Xian. Clearly he cared more about Lin Xian. In front of him, after Wang Jiani displayed the primal chaos sword light, he faced the sky and laughed. How about it? Brat, you've seen my trump card, haven't you? That's a sword light formed from primal chaos qi. It's a power capable of splitting heaven and earth apart. What will you use to fight against me? Primal chaos light? Lin Xian furrowed his brows. From the looks of it, Wang Jiani should have gone to the all beginnings holy ground. He knew that Wang Jiani had already cultivated a trace of the primal chaos sword light. However, the might of that was incomparable to the current one. In other words, Wang Jiani had been cultivating the primal chaos qi all this time. The all beginnings holy ground? It seemed that Gu Feng had helped him. After all, it would be very difficult for Wang Jiani to enter the all beginnings holy ground by himself. However, it would be different if he had the help of a great emperor clan. Although the primal chaos sword light was powerful, Wang Jiani did not care about it. Therefore, he still had a disdainful expression in his eyes. Upon seeing this scene, Wang Jiani was thoroughly enraged. Damn it, brat, what kind of expression is that? Could it be that you think that the current you is capable of contending against me? Wang Jiani was thoroughly enraged. Kill. With a roar, the primal chaos sword light blossomed with incomparable radiance. Then it suddenly slashed forward. Heaven and earth were instantly split apart. This attack was incomparably powerful. Most likely, even a late-stage holy venerate would not be able to contend against it. Humph. Lin Xian coldly snorted. The 10 absolute swords flew out and formed a divine sword. Chapter 4367. Boom. 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 The two sword radiances clashed in the sky like divine swords. Then countless cracks formed in the sky. Countless black holes appeared. The surrounding people also retreated frantically. The two of them were too powerful. He actually blocked it? When the people from the Gu clan saw this scene, they frowned. They did not expect Lin Xian to be able to block the chaotic sword radiance. Wang Jiani frowned as well. He roared and the chaotic sword radiance exploded again. It seemed like he wanted to suppress it completely. However, the power of the 10 extinction swords was also unparalleled. It had an extremely strong sword principle that could sweep through everything. It was simply impossible to break such a divine sword. However, Wan Jianyi's eyes were suddenly filled with murderous intent. Go to hell, kid. 3 black bottle gourds flew out of his ring of holding. The gourds cracked open and the chaotic chi inside spread out, instantly shrouding him. When they saw this scene, the pupils of the surrounding people shrunk. Why was there still primal chaos chi? And it did not look like it belonged to Wan Jianyi. Damn it, this was not his power. What he did was too despicable. Qin Xian'er and Wan Jianyi snorted. However, when the Gu family heard this, they sneered. Despicable? You are really naive. This is also a trump card. If you have the ability, use it too. Between heaven and earth, the terrifying chaotic chi was all absorbed by Wan Jianyi. On the other side, the chaotic sword was even more terrifying. Wan Jianyi smiled proudly. He was confident that with such a trump card, his opponent would definitely not be able to block it. Today was the day for him to take revenge. Boom. The chaotic sword exploded with power again, and attacked quickly. The terrifying sword radiance filled the sky. It was as if thousands of stars had fallen and slashed down. With a crack, the 10 extinction swords were broken. Oh no, Lin Xian was in danger. When the surrounding people saw this, they all exclaimed. Once the 10 extinction swords were broken, Lin Xian would definitely die. Lin Xian. Guan Songhai and Qin Xian'er also exclaimed. Their eyes were filled with anxiety. However, at this moment, Lin Xian was very calm. Borrowing external power? So what? An extremely terrifying aura erupted from his eyes as he unleashed the breathing technique of dragons. At the same time, the dragon roared inside his body. The roaring dragon's soul came out, and the broken 10 ultimate swords exploded with power once again. Then, a sword flew out like a divine dragon, roaring between heaven and earth. He slashed forward. It clashed with the sword of primal chaos once more. Earth-shattering energy filled the air, shattering everything in its path. The people around him couldn't even open their eyes. Damn it, so strong. What happened just now? Wasn't Lin Xian about to lose? How could he still fight back? Some people were surprised. However, people like Gu Feng, the Alcade Saint Sun, and the others all had extremely solemn expressions. Their gazes transformed into divine rainbows, piercing through everything. In the next moment, their pupils shrank. Damn it, how is this possible? Gu Feng's expression became extremely ugly. This was because he saw a figure flying backward and coming back. It is Wan Jianyi at this moment. Wan Jianyi was sent flying while spitting out blood. Cracks could be seen on his body. The sword of chaos in his hand dimmed as it split into 2 halves down the middle. The other people also saw it and immediately cried out in alarm. No way, Wan Jianyi was actually defeated. How is this possible? Even such a terrifying sword of chaos couldn't do anything to Lin Xian? What exactly did Lin Xian use just now? Everyone was surprised. The experts from the Wavering Light Holy Land were also stunned. It couldn't be right? Did this guy actually win? In front, the Alcade Saint Sun looked at this scene with flickering eyes. As expected, what a strong combat power. He will be a difficult opponent in the future. It seemed that everything was within his expectations. Wan Jianyi's face was pale. His confidence was shattered once again. How is this possible? Even such a powerful sword of chaos couldn't defeat the opponent. Damn it, I don't believe it. He stood up and roared at the sky. However, Lin Xian slashed down again, directly splitting him into 2 halves. Blood mist filled the air, and the chaotic aura was completely destroyed. No. Wan Jianyi was completely terrified. However, between heaven and earth, a large crack instantly rescued Wan Jianyi. Gu Feng walked out and said in a deep voice, "Kid, stop. With us here, you can forget about killing him." Lin Xian frowned. "I don't know why you saved his life time and time again. However, he has already lost to me twice. He can't pose any threat to me at all. From now on, he is no different from an ant in my eyes. Damn it." On the other side of the void, Wan Jianyi's body recovered. Hearing this, he spat out another mouthful of blood. Indeed, losing to Lin Xian twice made him unable to raise his head for the rest of his life. Lin Xian didn't care about Wan Jianyi. In his opinion, Wang Jiani was no different from an ant. He stared at Gu Feng. The battle between us hasn't ended yet. Why don't we have a decisive battle today? An extremely terrifying light burst out from his eyes. The surrounding people sucked in a breath of cold air. No way. Is this kid going to fight with the top genius of the great emperor family? Those people from the Gu family were also furious. Kid, are you courting death? Who do you think you are? How dare you fight against us? Endless spatial laws appeared on their bodies. Many spatial cracks appeared around Lin Xian, wanting to swallow him up. However, Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a flash of sword light, he shattered all the spatial cracks. He stood there as if nothing could invade him. You ants aren't my match yet. Hurry up and scram. Gu Feng, do you dare to fight? How is that possible? Is our spatial laws effective against them? Those people from the Gu family were stunned when they saw this scene. One must know that people of the same level couldn't even block one of their attacks. Even those late-stage elder powerhouses couldn't block these attacks at all. But now Lin Xian was completely fine. What's going on? What exactly is his sword chi? Gu Feng's expression also became incomparably cold. Do you think I'm really afraid of you? However, now isn't the time to fight with you. Wait until I enter the void and get what I want. That will be the time of your death. After saying that, Gu Feng turned around and walked towards the back. The surrounding people sighed. They didn't expect that the shocking battle still didn't happen. However, they also knew that the two of them wouldn't make a move easily, because if one of them lost, it would have a huge impact on their Dao heart. Just as Gu Feng returned to the mountain peak, the sound of footsteps suddenly came from the void in front of him. What's going on? Is someone coming out? The surrounding people all opened their eyes wide. Then they looked inside one by one. The footsteps became louder and louder. Then everyone saw three figures coming out. They stood at the edge of the void. These three people were cold as if they were looking down on everything. When the surrounding people saw this, they all took a deep breath. Among them, a man from the Gu family walked out and cupped his fists. May I ask, when can we enter? Who are you? Chapter 4368. The Gu family said, We're at the ancient clan of the ancients. As soon as he said that, the three people in front were shocked. So you're from the emperor clan. You can enter. However, only 3 people can enter. Only 3 people? The man from the Gu family frowned. However, Gu Feng said, All right, 3 it is. Then he looked at the 2 people and said, The 2 of you follow me. They were a man and a woman. Their status and talent in the Gu family were extraordinary, so they were qualified to enter with Gu Feng. Gu Feng said to the others, Wait here, or you can go back. Then Gu Feng looked at Wang Jiani and said coldly, Heal your injuries first. After saying those words, he led the 2 of them forward and soon entered the void. Looking at the 3 people's disappearing figures, the people on the surrounding mountain peaks all had cold gazes. Someone even said, We're from the 4 symbols sacred grounds and want to enter to watch. However, the figure in front said coldly, Sorry, the number of people today is full. Please come again next time. What? It's full? The people from the 4 symbols sacred grounds were stunned. On the other side, the people from the other sacred grounds, and even the sacred city all spoke up. However, they were all rejected. It's really full this time. I hope you won't make things difficult for us. The figure in the void land said coldly. Saint, what should we do? The people from the wavering light sacred ground did the same. They frowned. The wavering light saint said, Wait here. I'll go in and take a look. After saying that, he walked forward. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people stopped talking. They looked forward. It's the wavering light saint. Is he going to attack? He's probably going to enter the void land. Lin Xian also turned his head. Is it him? He also remembered the wavering light saint clearly. This person hid very well. He was a very difficult opponent. The figure in the void ahead also frowned when he saw this. Sir, please stay. I've already been very polite to you. If you still want to enter, don't blame us for attacking. There was a hint of arrogance in the figure's eyes. It was as if he didn't care about the geniuses in the world. The Alcade Saint came to the front. He did not say anything. Instead, he raised his hand and took out a token. He waved it lightly in front of the other party. That person's pupils shrank. What was this? The next moment he sucked in a breath of cold air, and a deep shock appeared in his eyes. The Alcade Saint Sun had indeed said that. How was it? Am I qualified to enter? You can go in. After saying that, the Alcade Saint put away the token. Very good. His figure flickered and disappeared. The surrounding people were all stunned. Didn't you say that the quota was full? Why was he able to enter? You're obviously deceiving us. We'll go in together. Many experts walked out. Up ahead, the figure in the void said, "What? You want to fight?" He didn't know the difference between life and death. That person punched forward. With a loud bang, several figures were sent flying while coughing up blood. Their eyes were filled with fear. How could he be so strong? A bunch of ants, they really don't know the difference between life and death. How dare they behave so atrociously in the void? Another person sneered. The three of them looked down like gods. We already said that the quota is full. Everyone come again next time. Don't make things difficult for us. The three of them had contemptuous smiles in their eyes. The surrounding people were shocked. Some didn't believe it and attacked again. There were even older experts who attacked forcefully. Those were late-stage holy venerables, but they were sent flying and coughing up blood in one move. In an instant, more than 100 figures were sent flying. Some of them even coughed up blood and were seriously injured. Their bodies exploded. The faces of the three figures in front also darkened. He said coldly, "If there were any more trespassers, they would be killed without mercy." Extremely cold killing intent appeared on their bodies. The surrounding people fell silent. They were too strong, whether it was a one-on-one or a group attack. They were no match for them at all. The strength of these three people was really too strong. This void was too magical. It could actually nurture such top-notch experts. What's going on? The void is too strange. Why do I feel that they are much stronger than us? Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai frowned. Even Lin Xian was surprised. Why were there people in the void? These three people were obviously living in the void. But that shouldn't be the case. According to his senior brother, unparalleled Holy King, this was an eternal land. Time didn't flow. How did these people survive? The surrounding people were discussing. What should they do? Should they all join forces? Perhaps they still had a chance. However, at this time an older figure shook his head and sighed. Don't provoke them. Their identities are very unusual. If we all join forces, we might be able to enter, but it will cause a lot of trouble. Were these people's identities so terrifying? So many experts from the Holy Lands joining forces couldn't fight against them? It seemed that they could only watch from the outside. Everyone sighed. No one dared to attack again. However, at this time Lin Xian walked out. He was determined to get this void. How could he go back just because of it? So he walked forward. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were stunned. Even Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai were stunned. They were not confident that they could defeat the people in front. The three people in front looked at him with disdain. How could the people outside be a match for them? However, suddenly they frowned. They realized that there was another person who was recklessly walking over. "Kid, didn't you understand what I said just now? Do you really think that I don't dare to kill you?" Lin Xian said as he walked. "I have to enter the void. If you want to attack me, go ahead. If I'm killed by you, it means that I'm inferior. However, if I can defeat you, I hope that you won't stop me and let me in." Hearing this, the three people in front sneered. "You think you can defeat us? What a joke. Kid, I don't care what your identity is or how strong you are outside. In front of us, even if you're a dragon, you'll have to lie down. I said that I'm going in. If you want to attack me, go ahead. Don't hold back. If I'm killed, it means that I'm inferior." While they were talking, Lin Xian had already arrived in front of the three people. It seemed that he really wanted to pass. Courting death. One of the three people's face darkened. He was wearing a purple Taoist robe and had short hair. At this moment, there was a trace of extremely cold killing intent in his long and narrow eyes. "I'll fulfill your wish." He stretched out a finger that was shining brightly. It was as if a divine sword was stabbing over. With one strike, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Vast laws spread out. Seeing this scene, The surrounding people were horrified. It was so terrifying. It seemed that the three of them had held back previously. Now that they were going to kill, no one could stop them. Lin Xian was in danger. Yes, no matter how strong he was, he could defeat the geniuses outside. However, he had no chance of winning against the people of the void. Some of the older generation figures shook their heads and sighed. He was too reckless. It was useless to retreat now. They had heard of some legends of the void. The people there were very mysterious. Chapter 4369. With a single finger, the wind and clouds changed. Qin Xiener, Guan Songhai, and the others were stunned. Wan Jiani, who was at the back, was shocked. Then he sneered. This was great. Lin Xian didn't know what was good for him. This attack might be able to finish him off. This way, he could take revenge indirectly. Lin Xian's expression turned grave when he sensed the power. Although he did not know who the other party was, the aura was too terrifying. It was even more terrifying than the chaotic sword light. He did not dare to be careless. He activated his divine body to the maximum and shot out a sharp sword chi with the aura of the dragon soul. It was like a giant dragon roaring. Clang! The two collided in the air and sparks flew. The earth-shattering power almost made people faint. The short-haired young man's pupils shrank. Did he block it? It was unbelievable. One had to know that when over 100 experts attacked together, they couldn't even block one of their attacks. Now this person could block his attack. Interesting, no wonder you are so arrogant. However, you have completely angered me. Therefore you will die. An extremely terrifying aura spread out from his body, making everyone's hair stand on end. The short-haired young man spread his fingers and formed a giant palm, which slapped forward. On the palm, there was an illusion of a heavenly steel, as if it had crossed time and space. A burst of pressure suppressed everything. As soon as it appeared, the surrounding people felt that their bones were about to break. Even Lin Xian's body let out a roar as he was hit by a huge impact. Humph! Go to hell, brat! The short-haired young man sneered. Lin Xian's eyes shone with a terrifying light. A sharp sword intent appeared in his hand, as if it could pierce through the 9 heavens. The shocking sword light turned into a sword shadow and slashed out. Boom! The heavenly steel was split in half. Not only that, the short-haired young man was sent flying and spat out blood. His body was almost split in half. How could it be? Everyone was stunned. They didn't dare to believe it. Even the two companions were stunned. The injured young man widened his eyes in disbelief. The next moment he roared crazily. You lowly ant, how dare you hurt me? I'll kill you. An even more terrifying aura surged from his body. It seemed like he was about to attack again. However, Lin Xian's figure flickered and appeared in front of him in an instant. Then, with a wave of his hand, a taiji diagram appeared and blasted the other party away. With a boom, the area in front of him exploded. A taiji diagram enveloped the other party. Damn it, how dare you! His other two companions also regained their senses and roared crazily. When they saw the scene in front of them, they couldn't believe it. Their companions had actually been suppressed by the other party. Release our men and kneel down to die. We will give you a quick death. At the same time, release your two companions. Otherwise, you and your two companions will suffer a fate worse than death today. Just the two of you? Lin Xian turned his head with a look of disdain. Your companion is in my hands. Aren't you afraid that I'll kill him? The two of them sneered. Kid, would you dare to do that even if you had 10 guts? Don't you know who we are? Let me tell you. We are the Immortal Guardian clan. We are existences that were placed in this world by the immortals. How dare you attack us? I'm afraid you won't be able to survive in this world. The two of them had endless arrogance in their eyes. The surrounding people were stunned. What? Left behind by the immortals? Heavens, are there really immortals in this world? They were all stunned, because it was said that even the great emperors couldn't become immortals. Lin Xian was also shocked when he heard that. They had such a big background. No wonder they were so arrogant when facing the great emperor family. However, were there really immortals in this world? He didn't believe it either. Therefore, he snorted coldly. What Immortal Guardian clan? I've never heard of it. Let me in now and I'll release your companions. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite. A hint of coldness appeared in Lin Xian's eyes. You're courting death. The two of them were furious. Attack! Extremely terrifying auras appeared on their bodies. They were about to attack. However, at this moment, a stream of light flew past in the distance and landed in front of them. Then he also strode toward the void in front of him. The people around them were all stunned. Who was this person? The two of them were also furious. Why were there so many people today? Were they challenging them one after another? It seemed that they had to kill a few to intimidate them. Lin Xian turned to look as well, and was stunned by what he saw. It's you. The person who came was actually Chao Tiansheng. Chao Tiansheng came here, and looked at Lin Xian in shock. You actually dared to attack them? That's right. You're a person abandoned by the heavens. You don't have to show mercy to them. Chao Tiansheng smiled. Then he took out a token and said, I should be qualified to enter. The two of them wanted to be angry, but when they saw the token, their expressions changed. Then they gritted their teeth and said, Go in, but you can't save this kid. Chao Tiansheng said, He doesn't need me to save him. He ignored them and looked at Lin Xian. I'll wait for you inside. After saying that, Chao Tiansheng also went in. The surrounding people were all stunned. Another person had gone in. What exactly was the token that the other party had taken out? They didn't know. Therefore, for a moment, everyone looked at Lin Xian again. Are you a person abandoned by the heavens? You're even less qualified to enter. The two of them roared and attacked. Lin Xian's face darkened. It was unknown whether he was dead or alive. He had already shown mercy. Since that was the case, he waved the Tai Chi diagram and directly turned the person who was pressurized into a bloody mist. Then he threw a punch. With a bang, he collided with a person's palm. Then the 10 extinction swords with the aura of the dragon soul erupted and fought with the other person. Boom! There was a shocking sound of collision. The vast power caused the entire world to tremble. Countless cracks had appeared in the surroundings. However, the void was completely undamaged. Obviously, this was a very mysterious place. The two of them were sent flying. One of them vomited blood. The other person's face was filled with terror, because one of his arms was cut off and couldn't be healed. Lowly ant, you'll regret everything you've done. The two people from the Immortal Guardian clan roared crazily. The person who was beaten into a bloody mist also fled into the distance. His body couldn't be fused at the moment. The deities were extremely terrified. Damn it, what's going on? The enemy is actually stronger than us. One had to know that they were from the Immortal Guardian clan, and had been cultivating in the void all year round. Who could be stronger than them? If the two people didn't have tokens, they definitely wouldn't have let them in. Chapter 4370. This kid is really too strange. Lin Xian's expression was cold. The power of the dragon sword soul erupted like a god of war. The Taiji diagram then turned into a world and flew towards the three people in front. The three of them tried their best to dodge, but they were still suppressed. The three of them became terrified, but there was nothing they could do. Lin Xian, on the other hand, walked inside. At that moment, a few more figures walked over from afar. What's going on? There are no advertisements. This time, 5 people walked over. The leader was a man with a majestic gait. When he arrived, he immediately frowned. His 3 companions had actually been suppressed by someone. Who is it? Did someone bring a Sage King's weapon here? In the next moment, they stared at Lin Xian. Is it you? These people's expressions were extremely strange. It shouldn't be. Is this kid so strong? The 3 people who were suppressed said. Brother, be careful. This kid is very strange. Kill him. He actually dares to injure us. The 3 of them roared crazily. When the young man in front heard that, his face immediately turned cold. Attack! With a roar, the 4 people behind him instantly took action. For divine steels appeared in their palms, carrying a desolate aura as they suppressed the sky and the earth. Between heaven and earth, there was a shattering sound. The place where Lin Xian was completely shrouded. The Taiji diagram kept spinning to block. Lin Xian, on the other hand, waved his sword again. A dragon's roar sounded, and the sword was mighty. The divine steels were sent flying, and the 4 of them vomited blood. Lin Xian was extremely domineering. He directly charged towards the young man in the lead. He's so strong. He did not expect the person in front of him to be so terrifying. The young man in the lead was instantly furious. His body bloomed like stars, and then many runes appeared around him. He channeled his power to the extreme. A saber light slashed out. The young man in the lead was much stronger than the others. However, compared to Lin Xian's dragon sword soul, he was still not enough. After 10 moves, he was directly sent flying. The Taiji diagram spun and suppressed all of them. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. They couldn't believe it. As for the people from the Immortal Guardian clan, their faces were filled with fear. This was something that they had never encountered in their entire lives. In their eyes, their Immortal Guardian clan was high up above. Even if they were emperor clans, they still carried a hint of arrogance. Not to mention the others. In their eyes, they were all ant-like existences. However, at that moment, the ants in their eyes were actually so powerful that they were able to suppress over a dozen of them. Being high and mighty, and having the corresponding strength, I'm afraid that you guys won't be able to achieve this. Lin Xian looked at these people, and sneered with contempt in his eyes. This made these people vomit blood in anger. These people madly roared and threatened, but it was useless. Lin Xian turned around and waved at Guan Songhai and Qin Xiener. Let's go together. The two of them took a deep breath and followed him. Then the three of them walked inside. The surrounding people looked at each other. Many of them even wanted to take action because this was the best opportunity. No one stopped them anymore. However, those older generation figures did remind them that the Immortal Guardian clan was related to immortals, and no one dared to provoke them. If they went in now, they would be courting death. When the others heard this, they stopped in their tracks and could only watch from the outside. In their eyes, even if Lin Xian and the other two entered, they would probably die without a doubt. Lin Xian didn't care about this. His goal was obvious. He wanted to come to the void and find power that could help him improve. Behind them, Qin Xiener asked if there were really immortals in this world. Guan Songhai shook his head. He didn't know. However, these people's attitudes were so strong that they didn't even care about the emperor clans. From this, one could easily imagine that their identities were most likely extraordinary. Lin Xian didn't care at all. He was already someone who had been abandoned by immortals. Why would he be afraid of a mere Immortal Guardian clan? The three of them moved very quickly and walked all the way inside. Soon a magical scene appeared inside. The terrain here was very primitive, like a primordial era. There were many people standing in front. It seemed like they were waiting for something. At this moment, when they heard the footsteps behind them, the people in front turned their heads one after another. In their eyes, it should be the people who had gone to patrol before returning. However, when they saw Lin Xian and the other two, they were stunned. What's going on? What's going on with this guy? Gu Feng's pupils constricted. The Alcade Saint also revealed a look of surprise. Chao Tiansheng, on the other hand, smiled. In addition, some people looked over. Some of their faces were familiar, and some were very unfamiliar. These people's gazes fell on Lin Xian and the other two. Guan Songhai and Qin Xiener immediately felt the pressure. Because everyone here wasn't weaker than them. They were all extremely terrifying existences. Lin Xian didn't care. He looked around and greeted Chao Tiansheng. Then he looked at the others. Gu Feng, the Alcade Saint, and the others naturally didn't need to be mentioned. He had known them for a long time. However, he also knew some of the others. He had only met them once. They were the people he had seen in the immemorial grotto. At that time, they had sat beside the reincarnation protector. They should have been with Han Chong. This meant that these people should have come from the buried Emperor Star. No wonder they could come here. At the same time, he also understood why the Immortal Guardian clan's people had said that the number of people was full. It seemed that the people from the buried Emperor Star wanted to monopolize this place, and didn't want the people from the true spirit world to come. If it wasn't for Gu Feng's identity as an Emperor clan member, he wouldn't have been able to come here. The people from the buried Emperor Star were truly tyrannical. Han Chong and the others also turned their heads. When they saw Lin Xian and the other two, they were also shocked. It was actually that brat. They cried out in alarm. Another person asked, Han Chong, who is he? Do you know him? Which paradise is he from? No, his origin is different from ours. He's from the second star realm, Holy City. Hearing this, contempt appeared in those people's eyes. Holy City? They didn't put it in their eyes. One of them sneered. How could such a person have the qualifications to come here? The Immortal Guardian clan's people also frowned. Someone walked over and said, Who let you three in? Do you have a token? Are you from the Emperor clan? Hearing this, Gu Feng also sneered. Lin Xian said, No need to ask. I don't have a token and I'm not from the Emperor clan. I fought my way in. Those people outside have already been suppressed by me. What? As soon as these words were spoken, the surrounding people were stunned. Even the people from the buried Emperor Star were stunned. Fought his way in? This brat really dared to say that. Chapter 43-71. The people from the Immortal Guardian clan were stunned. You dare to attack our people? Are you tired of living? These people exuded a biting cold killing intent. Guan Songhai looked as if he was facing a great enemy. Lin Xian laughed. Those people from before had the same attitude towards me. They were all suppressed by me. If you want to attack me, go ahead. If I'm killed, it's because I'm weaker than you. But if you're suppressed by me, I think you'll regret attacking me. You're courting death. You think you're qualified to say that? One of them rushed over and slapped out. Demon subduing palm. With a roar, a terrifying palm that could suppress 10,000 demons came crashing down. However, it was slashed apart by Lin Xian's sword. That person's body was slashed in half and he roared crazily. Lin Xian's eyes were filled with killing intent. He said, Since I'm here, I'm prepared. Either you accept our existence and let us see the secrets of the nothingness place. Or you can attack me. I don't mind causing a ruckus here. But if you destroy anything in the nothingness place, don't blame me. Lin Xian was abnormally strong. His words seemed to have suppressed the people around him. The people from the Immortal Guardian clan had ugly expressions. Damn it, this guy actually dared to behave so atrociously in their territory. One must know that even the people from the Emperor clans and the people from the buried Emperor Star follow the rules here. However, this guy was too arrogant. Kill him. Tear him into pieces. Let everyone know the consequences of being arrogant in the nothingness place. However, at this moment, two figures walked over from afar. It was a man and a woman. Their auras were even more obscure and mysterious. It was obvious that their status was not ordinary. Seeing this scene, the people from the Immortal Guardian clan turned their heads and looked over. One of the men said coldly, That's enough, all of you stop. However, the other people wanted to say something, but the man's face sank. What's wrong? You don't even want to listen to me? Yes, we know. The people from the Immortal Guardian clan became incomparably respectful. Then they looked at Lin Xian and the other two. Brat, your luck is very good. This time, I'll make an exception and let you stay here. However, you better behave yourself. If you dare to be arrogant again, don't blame us for being rude. Lin Xian was also stunned. He didn't expect the other party to not make a move. He raised his head and looked at the man and woman in the distance with a puzzled expression. The auras of these two people were indeed strong. After the two mysterious people finished speaking, they left and did not come down. For a moment, the surroundings became incomparably quiet. Lin Xian and the other two started to look around curiously. Further ahead, there was a huge canyon. No one knew where it led to, but at this moment, everyone was looking at the canyon. It was obvious that the secret of the void lands lay in this canyon. However, these people were all waiting and did not enter. He didn't know why. Lin Xian waited for a while before walking forward. He felt that the aura coming from the canyon was becoming more and more mysterious, and there were even some that were extremely familiar. This made him extremely surprised. I don't know. What is it? Therefore, he decided to go over and take a look. Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were stunned. Kid, what are you trying to do? The person from the Immortal Guardian clan walked over again and said coldly, Who allowed you to go in? Wait here. Can't you see that the others don't dare to move? Lin Xian frowned. This canyon is so big. It shouldn't be a problem for one or two people to go in, right? Why? Do you dare to stop me? Do you know what kind of person is meditating inside? Do you think you can disturb such a person? If you go in and disturb him, I'm afraid you'll suffer a fate worse than death. Therefore, if you know what's good for you, listen to us and stand here obediently. We're doing this for your own good." Lin Xian frowned. "Is that so? What kind of person is so powerful? I really want to see." With that, Lin Xian walked forward. The people from the Immortal Guardian clan were completely enraged. "Damn it! Do you really think that we won't dare to attack you?" Previously, they didn't attack Lin Xian, because the genius from the Immortal Guardian clan had spoken up. But now this kid in front of them was being so arrogant. It really made them furious. Therefore, someone immediately attacked. With a slap, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. A flood surged towards Lin Xian. It was as if the entire ocean had descended. Lin Xian was unfazed. He flung his palm forward, unleashing a boundless divine flame, which completely suppressed the surging flood. Then he grabbed forward. The 5 elemental laws flew out and formed a 5-elemental mountain, directly suppressing the other party. The surrounding people were all stunned. They didn't expect Lin Xian to be so powerful. He suppressed their companion with a single move. No wonder he could enter so domineeringly. Lin Xian's figure was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, he had already arrived at the edge of the canyon. However, at this moment, someone attacked again. "Stop. Our people are meditating inside. Do you dare to attack us?" The person who spoke was a man. His eyes were also filled with a disdainful aura. He was sitting together with Han Chong and the others. Obviously, he was from the buried Emperor Star. After Lin Xian heard this, he also turned his head. The blue-robed figure said, "You should know who we are. What do you think the consequences of offending us will be? Are you trying to stop me? I've long heard that the people from the buried Emperor Star are very strong. However, I haven't had the chance to fight. Now, I don't mind fighting." Lin Xian's eyes also blossomed with a cold light. He felt that there was an even greater call from inside. Obviously, there was something inside that was very suitable for him. Therefore, he had to enter. "Do you really think you can be so arrogant? Do you really think you can be so arrogant? Previously, we didn't attack you because we were giving face to the Immortal Guardian clan. Now that you're acting so recklessly, it seems that I can only take action." He walked out, and there were 6 stars revolving around his palm. A desolate aura covered the sky and earth. It was as if his palm had turned into the universe. Boom. With a slap, the sky shook. Qin Xiener and the others' expressions changed. This was too powerful. Was this the strength of the people from the buried Emperor Star? Lin Xian waved his hand, and the 10 absolute sword formation revolved around him. Terrifying sword chi also rushed out. It collided with the 6 stars of the opponent. Large patches of the void were torn apart as boundless power swept out in all directions. How could a mere star dare to compete with the sun? Lin Xian coldly snorted, and the 9-yang divine body blossomed with light. Like a peerless sun, it shone in all directions, causing the stars to become dim. Damn it! The blue-robed man from the buried Emperor Star was thoroughly enraged. With a loud roar, the 6 stars on his body became even more terrifying. They connected together, as if they had turned into a small universe. They quickly rushed over. Lin Xian's eyes blossomed with a golden light that could see through everything. But that was it. It was over. The corner of his mouth rose into a smile. At the same time, the 10 absolute sword formation erupted once again. Chapter 4372. It's over? What a joke. Especially the people from the buried Emperor Star. They were filled with disdain. So what if the other party was strong? Could he fight against them? They didn't believe it. When the blue-clothed man who attacked heard this, his face turned gloomy. He roared angrily and charged over again. His body blossomed with a terrifying light, and the entire world started to shake. However, Lin Xian's expression was ice-cold. He coldly snorted. The people from the buried Emperor Star were only SOSO. After saying that, he formed a seal and slapped forward. Boom. The man-ruler seal slapped forward and terrifying light swept out in all directions. At that moment, everyone's expression changed. In fact, there was even a deep and low voice that sounded from the canyon. It was as if a god was roaring. The surroundings started to collapse. What's going on? At this moment, everyone's expression changed. Even the people from the Immortal Guardian clan narrowed their eyes. Such a scene had never happened before. What exactly did this brat do? Lin Xian raised his brows. This aura seemed to be related to his man-ruler seal. It seemed that there was something in this canyon. He had to go in. The blue-clothed man from the buried Emperor Star was sent flying by the palm. Many large cracks appeared on his body. Was he injured? The people from the buried Emperor Star exclaimed. They found it hard to believe. Lin Xian was incomparably powerful. The man-ruler seal in his hand was even more terrifying. Who would dare to attack again? The cold voice resounded in all directions. For a moment, everyone was stunned. Especially in the canyon, there was a voice. This made everyone worried. If they were to fight here, would it affect the people who were comprehending inside? Therefore, the people from the buried Emperor Star did not attack again. Don't attack. If you affect the others, it will be very troublesome. So let this kid go in first. When our people finish comprehending, we'll kill him. None of the surrounding people dared to make a move. Even the people of the Immortal Guardian race were stunned. Lin Xian brought Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai. The three of them walked into the canyon again. After entering, they felt a mysterious aura enveloping them. This place is too unusual. Qin Xiener exclaimed. There was someone ahead. Guan Songhai was also surprised. Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. There were indeed people in front of them. There were 3 figures. The 3 of them stood at different positions in the canyon and began to comprehend. What are they looking at? Qin Xiener was shocked. Lin Xian said, they probably won't dare to make a move in this canyon, so we are safe here. Everyone start comprehending. As he spoke, he took a deep breath as his eyes shone with a cold light. He began to look around. Gradually, he felt a strange change in his surroundings. It was as if he was no longer in a canyon, but a vast expanse of land. A deafening voice could be heard coming from the front. What is that? Lin Xian was stupefied. He discovered that a great battle was taking place in front of him. Furthermore, the battle was so terrifying that it was simply unimaginable. Suddenly, he saw the entire world shatter as a palm slammed down. The aura carried by that palm was too terrifying. It was like a seal of heaven and earth, causing his hair to stand on end. At the same time, Lin Xian was even more shocked. That was the man-ruler seal. He was too shocked. He discovered that one of the 2 parties in the battle was actually using the man-ruler seal. He was too shocked. He did not expect to see the man-ruler seal here. Moreover, it was used by such a peerless expert. He had once heard from the unparalleled Sage King that a battle was recorded in this void. It was a battle between 2 peerless experts 100,000 years ago. Now it seemed that the peerless expert from back then was able to use the man-ruler seal. Perhaps the man-ruler seal that he obtained was left behind by this peerless expert. A large seal of heaven and earth descended from the sky with an unparalleled domineering aura. However, the opponent was equally terrifying. He was not weak. Facing such a terrifying seal, the figure was surrounded by multicolored light as scriptures appeared. Then, endless light condensed into a sword light. It directly pierced through the void. This attack was really too powerful. The aura that it carried was not any weaker than the man-ruler seal. It was as if it could destroy the 9 heavens. What sword technique was this? Lin Xian was also shocked. He was an expert in the way of the sword and had the great dragon sword spirit. At this moment, seeing this shocking sword, he was also shocked. The battle between the 2 was really too powerful. Not long after, Lin Xian felt that he was under a huge pressure. Even his body was about to crack. Buzz. In the next moment, he was forced back, his face pale. The surrounding scene also disappeared. On the other side, Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai were also pale. Their eyes were filled with deep shock. Lin Xian, I saw it. There is a shocking battle. Qin Xiener exclaimed. Lin Xian nodded his head in agreement. I'm guessing that the distance here is related to the distance from the battlefield. The closer to the canyon, the closer the distance to watch the battle, and the stronger the pressure. In an instant they understood the rules here. Guan Songhai gasped. We are quite far from the canyon, and it is already so terrifying. I wonder how the 3 people in front of us are enduring it. They looked over curiously. The three people's auras were also extraordinary, but they were obviously different. Two people came from the same place, and the other person's aura was very similar to the person from the Immortal Guardian clan outside. Among the three people, one was an expert from the Immortal Guardian clan, and the other two were from the buried Emperor Star. Among the three people, a woman was the furthest away. She stood there and sat down cross-legged. Her body was shaking, but she was still able to endure it. As for the other two, their faces were pale and they were sweating profusely. It was clear that they had endured a great deal of pressure to reach this step. This is a rare opportunity, so we have to quickly comprehend it, Lin Xian said in a deep voice. Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai also nodded. Next, the three of them began to comprehend. Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai were naturally able to see the battle as well. However, it was almost impossible for them to cultivate the Man-Ruler seal. They could only comprehend it from the battle between the two experts. It was probably not only them, but the others as well. The only one who could cultivate the Man-Ruler seal and strengthen it was Lin Xian. Because Lin Xian had obtained the Man-Ruler seal's inheritance imprint, he was able to do it. Otherwise, he would not have been able to cultivate it. Lin Xian's goal this time was to strengthen and perfect his Man-Ruler seal. Although he had obtained the inheritance imprint, it was still far from being comparable to the figure from 100,000 years ago. Now that there was such an expert who could use it countless times in front of him, how could he miss such an opportunity? Thus, Lin Xian forgot about everything else and focused all his attention on the battle. Of course, apart from the Man-Ruler seal, there was also that shocking sword. Lin Xian did not miss it either. Chapter 4373. One day later, Lin Xian opened his eyes and walked a few steps forward before sitting down cross-legged again. Then his figure appeared in the battle image from 100,000 years ago. However, this time, the distance was even closer. Just like this, every 2 days, Lin Xian would take a few steps forward. 10 days later, Lin Xian had already surpassed the previous figure. Previously, there were 3 people sitting cross-legged there. At this moment, he had already surpassed one of them. There were still 2 people in front of him. Huiyu felt that extremely terrifying power, and immediately opened his eyes. Then sweat flowed down his face. So terrifying. As expected of a peerless expert. It has been 100,000 years, but he is still so terrifying. This place is really too mystical. Even though he came from the buried Emperor Star, he had to admit that this place made him feel incomparably mysterious. However, in the next moment his pupil shrank. What's going on? Why is there another person in front of him? He recognized the 2 people in front of him. However, at this moment, a third figure had appeared and was standing in front of him. Someone had surpassed him. Who is it? Is it his companion? However, that figure was extremely unfamiliar to him. He even wanted to see the other party's face clearly. However, he knew that although he was not far away, these few steps were extremely difficult to cross. Damn it, who is it? He was too shocked. Could it be that there were other experts from the Immortal Guardian clan who came in? That should be the case. He guessed that only the people from the Immortal Guardian clan could surpass him. After all, this group of people had the opportunity to come here to comprehend from the moment they were born. However, even if it was someone from the Immortal Guardian clan, Huiyu was not willing to accept it. He decided to surpass the other party. In the next moment, he closed his eyes and started to comprehend again. Not long after he closed his eyes, Lin Xian opened his eyes again and continued to walk forward. Soon he surpassed the second person who had come before him. At this moment, the second person opened his eyes. His face also became pale, and he did not even have the strength to stand up. At this moment he was stunned. He discovered that someone had surpassed him. Who is it? Is it that guy from the buried Emperor Star? Jing Xiai suddenly turned his head and discovered that Huiyu was still there. Then who was this person? He only took a quick glance and realized that Lin Xian was really unfamiliar. He had never seen him before. This meant that they were not from the Immortal Guardian clan. They should be people from the buried Emperor Star? Had another expert from the buried Emperor Star come? Damn it, this guy was actually so strong that he could surpass him. He gritted his teeth and hurriedly swallowed a medicinal pill to recover his aura. He was prepared to give chase again. Lin Xian, on the other hand, completely ignored the two of them. At this moment, he was completely stunned. This was because he realized that as he moved forward and got closer to the battlefield, he could feel that the battle ahead was also changing. Apart from that heaven-shaking sword strike, Ting-ying, these two experts had also used two more ultimate moves. A figure stood in front of him like a sword god. His cold voice resounded throughout the world. The man-ruler seal was indeed worthy of being an ultimate technique passed down from ancient times. He was indeed strong. On the other side, the battle godlike figure also said, "Your invincible sword is also incomparably terrifying. Although you did not succeed in obtaining the great dragon sword, your strength is enough to shock me." After Lin Xian heard this, he was too shocked. At this distance, he could actually hear the conversation between the two. It turned out that the heaven-shaking sword strike was called the invincible move. What was even more shocking was that this sword expert had once wanted to obtain the great dragon sword soul. However, he had failed. He knew that the great dragon sword soul was incomparably powerful. Those who could obtain it were all the strongest people in the world. He could be considered to be heaven-defying luck to be able to obtain it. He did not expect that the two peerless experts he met were actually related to him. At this moment, the peerless sword expert in front of him spoke again. "Apart from the invincible sword, I have a few more moves. You should also experience them. Is that so? Of the four ancient seals, apart from the man-ruler seal, I happen to know one more move. Why don't you experience it as well?" The battle godlike figure also spoke in a deep voice. In the next moment, the aura of the two people changed again. The peerless sword saint's body carried an extremely terrifying aura. The previous invincible power had turned into an immortal and indestructible aura. It was as if it could last forever. This move was called indestructible. With a slash of the sword, heaven and earth lost their luster. On the other side, the battle godlike expert also formed a seal with his palms. However, it was no longer the man-ruler seal, but another kind of seal. Within his hand seal, a mountain appeared and began to grow in size. It was like a mountain from the ancient times. The aura on it was too terrifying. It directly pressed down, suppressing all things. This was the mountain-embracing seal. It was another two peerless skills. It was incomparably sonorous, shaking continuously between heaven and earth. In the next moment, everything in front of him could not be seen. Lin Xian took a step back, his face turning pale. He suddenly opened his eyes. It was so terrifying. An extremely cold light bloomed in his eyes. He did not expect that the man-ruler seal was only one of the four ancient seals. In addition, there was also the mountain-embracing seal. He must learn it. In addition, he also wanted to obtain the invincible move and the indestructible move. Thinking of this, he took a deep breath, activated his physique to the extreme, and then took a few more steps forward. Damn it, how was this possible? When Jing Xi saw this scene, his face became incomparably ugly. It was already very difficult for him to take a step forward, but the other party was still able to take 2 steps in a row. Damn it, how did this guy do it? Behind him, Wang Yue spat out a mouthful of old blood. He forced himself to walk forward. In the end, he was injured, so he had no choice but to retreat. However, right at this moment, the mysterious figure at the front stood up. She was a woman with her back facing everyone. At this moment, she took 3 more steps forward and sat down cross-legged again. Even Lin Xian was surprised by the scene before him. Who exactly was this person? He was not in a hurry. He believed that given time he would definitely surpass the other party. Next, Lin Xian began to comprehend the 4 peerless skills in the illusion from 100,000 years ago. Time passed slowly. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. 2 months had passed. In the first month, Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai could not take it anymore. They could not continue to comprehend. Otherwise, their bodies and souls would be shattered. Therefore, they could only withdraw from the canyon. However, fortunately, the people of the Celestial Guardian clan outside did not attack them. This allowed the 2 of them to breathe a sigh of relief. Although now, their faces were pale and they were even a little injured, they were still very happy. This was because the comprehension in the previous month had allowed them to gain a lot. Although there was no increase in their cultivation, The application and execution of their skills had definitely surpassed before. Chapter 4374. After the two of them came out, more people went in. Even Huiyu had no choice but to come out. Han Chong and the others came out and asked, "How was it?" Huiyu said, "I gained a lot. However, there was a despicable guy who surpassed me. I don't know who he is." Once these words were said, the expressions of the surrounding people changed. Could it be that guy? They thought of Lin Xian. Because Lin Xian did not appear from beginning to end. It was impossible. These people's expressions became unsightly. Next, more and more people went in to comprehend. After all, because of the strength of the buried Emperor Star, others were not allowed to enter. Now that Huiyu had come out, others could also enter. Chao Tiansheng, Gu Feng, and the geniuses of the Gu family all entered one after another to comprehend. When they saw the battle 100,000 years ago, they were incomparably shocked. Then they all focused on comprehending. In the blink of an eye, another month passed. Among them, many people had already come out. Only 5 people were left inside. In addition to the mysterious woman at the front, there was also Lin Xian, Gu Feng, Chao Tiansheng, and another person from the Immortal Guardian clan. Lin Xian continued forward. He was very close to the mysterious woman. He was only a step away. In the next moment he closed his eyes and began to comprehend again. This time, he discovered that a figure had appeared in the battle ahead. It was the mysterious woman. He could actually see her in the battle. It was too inconceivable. During this period of time, Lin Xian had been comprehending the battle scene. He even used the heavenly secret divine eyes to imprint the scene in his mind as much as possible. The man-ruler seal had become even more terrifying after he comprehended it. The power of the man-ruler seal had far surpassed before. Although the mountain-embracing seal was mysterious and unfamiliar, it was still one of the 4 immemorial seals. Therefore he had an innate advantage when cultivating it. As for the unrivaled form and imperishable form, they were extremely terrifying sword techniques. Lin Xian had also comprehended them deeply. After all, the other party had almost obtained the Great Dragon Sword Soul, while he was the owner of the Great Dragon Sword Soul. Therefore, with his talent and the Great Dragon Sword Soul, it was not impossible for him to comprehend these 2 moves. Just like that, another 5 days passed. This time, Lin Xian finally took a step forward and stood shoulder to shoulder with the mysterious woman. Finally, he could see who the other party was. Lin Xian turned his head and looked over. In the next instant, the mysterious woman revealed a look of astonishment. He turned his head to look at her. To be honest, she didn't believe that anyone could reach her level. Their gazes clashed in the air, causing the void to shatter. Then, both of them revealed looks of surprise. "It's you. It's you." 2 voices sounded at the same time. Lin Xian was stunned. He knew this person. It was Yenryu. Yenryu was also stunned. She didn't expect it to be Lin Xian. Then, a smile appeared on her face. It was really surprising, but thinking about it, it made sense. There aren't many who can stand shoulder to shoulder with me, and you're one of them. Lin Xian was speechless. He was truly confident. He was already arrogant enough, but he realized that the other party's words were even more arrogant and domineering. "Why are you here? Could it be that you've already entered the buried Emperor Star?" Lin Xian asked. Yenryu nodded. "That's right. I went in earlier than you. Now that I've returned, I'm here specifically for the Eternal Lands." "You haven't entered the buried Emperor Star?" She was also surprised. Lin Xian said, "Not yet. However, I've already obtained the qualifications to enter the buried Emperor Star. I estimate that I'll be able to enter in a few months. I'm looking forward to it. I wonder what kind of expression those fellows in the buried Emperor Star will have when they see you. I think that you'll stir up a storm in the buried Emperor Star. Am I that kind of person?" Lin Xian smiled. However, thinking about it, he was afraid that it was true. After this group of people entered the buried Emperor Star, they would definitely stir up a new storm. "Alright, I don't have much time. I can't comprehend it for a long time. So let's meet again in the buried Emperor Star." Yenryu also nodded. "Alright, after you go to the buried Emperor Star, come to the Demon Emperor Mountain to find me." "Oh right, let me tell you something. There's more than one eternal lands. If you have the opportunity in the future, you can find a few more. Lin Xian nodded and did not say anything else. He memorized this information in his heart, and then comprehended it with all his might. 10 days later he left. Indeed, he did not have much time because he still had to go to the buried Emperor Star. If he missed this opportunity, who knows how many hundred years he would have to wait. This time around, Lin Xian had gained a lot. Apart from the fact that his man-ruler seal had become stronger, he had also gained a lot. Apart from the sealed Emperor Star, he also obtained 3 great divine abilities. Mountain Embracing Seal, Imperishable Form, Invincible Form. Apart from this, he also met an old friend, Yen Ruyu. He also obtained some information regarding the buried Emperor Star. What surprised him the most was that Han Chong and the others that he had heard before were all from the paradise. Yen Ryu came from the Demon Emperor Mountain. Thinking about it, the buried Emperor Star's situation should be even more complicated. Furthermore, it was said that it had connections with many clans and sacred grounds in the true spirit world. Just as Lin Xian left, at the same time, in the core area of the Immortal Guardian clan's Voidland, an old man opened his eyes. The surrounding people were unceasingly kneeling and kowtowing. Greetings, clan head. This old man was the Immortal Guardian clan's clan head. At this moment, he woke up from his cultivation and asked in a deep voice, "Is everything all right? Nothing happened, right?" He was just asking normally because in his opinion, no one would dare to behave atrociously in their territory. However, this time a middle-aged man said, "Ah, clan head, something did happen." "Oh, what happened?" The old man was surprised. "It's like this. There was a person who did not have the qualifications to enter. However, he was extremely powerful and suppressed more than 10 of our disciples. Then he came in forcefully and even entered the Eternal Canyon ahead." There was actually such a thing? The Immortal Guardian clan's clan had immediately frowned. "You didn't make a move?" The surrounding people said. "We all wanted to make a move. However, that kid's speed was too fast. From fighting to suppressing him, it only took him a dozen or so moves. Furthermore, at that time, we were right outside the Eternal Canyon. We were afraid that a fight would affect the canyon. Thus, we did not dare to rashly make a move. By the time we were preparing to dispatch experts, we discovered that the kid had already entered the Eternal Canyon. Furthermore, at this time, another person said that our disciple said that the kid seemed to be someone abandoned by the Immortal Realm." Hearing this, the old man from the Immortal Guardian clan stood up. "What? Someone abandoned by the Immortal Realm? Then all the more we can't keep him alive. You all can handle this matter." "Yes, clan head. Rest assured, we will definitely handle it well." Chapter 4375. After coming out, a purple-haired elder said coldly, "Follow me." "Has that person come out yet?" "Elder, he hasn't come out yet. However, his 2 companions have already come out." "All right, let's capture his 2 companions first. I want to see if he will escape or not." Soon the people from the Immortal Guardian clan moved out. Although Guan Songhai and Qin Xianer's strength had increased greatly, they were still outnumbered. Soon they were suppressed. Lin Xian did not know about this. When he came out, he narrowed his eyes. He wondered how Xianer and Songhai were doing. Did they obtain any good fortune? He came out and was about to ask. However, he realized that the 2 of them were not there. What's going on? The 2 of them were definitely not in the canyon. However, they were not outside the canyon. Could it be that they left early? Impossible. Lin Xian shook his head. Unless there was something special, the 2 of them would not leave without saying goodbye. Damn it, could it be that the people from the buried Emperor Star, or the Immortal Guardian clan had made a move? When the surrounding people saw Lin Xian come out, they all had a cold expression. At this moment, the void in front of him fluctuated and a few figures walked out. "You should be the person who was abandoned by the immortals, right? How dare you come here without permission? Kneel down obediently and come with us." Lin Xian's face was also cold. He asked, "Did you capture my 2 companions?" "Kid, you can't even protect yourself. Why are you still in the mood to care about others?" The people from the Immortal Guardian clan sneered. This time, not only were there young geniuses, there were also some older people. Their eyes were filled with disdain. So what if the other party is strong? Can he beat the young disciples? Can he beat the older generation experts? Boom. Lin Xian's eyes burst out with a cold light. You dare to touch the people around me? Looks like you don't know what's good for you. As he spoke, he slapped out with his palm. Courting death. When the people opposite him saw this, they were furious. One of them clenched his fist and punched out, colliding with Lin Xian's man-ruler seal. Earlier, his eyes were filled with disdain. However, when the two of them collided, his expression changed. Not good. How could this power be so terrifying? With a cracking sound, his entire arm was broken. He spat out a mouthful of blood as he was sent flying. His face had turned extremely pale. How could this be? The surrounding people were all stunned. The people of the Celestial Guardian clan narrowed their eyes. Their opponent was actually so strong. Let's attack together. The other three experts of the older generation moved out quickly. The laws on their bodies surged out, turning into extremely terrifying palms that slammed over. Lin Xian could see that it was an imitation of the man-ruler seal. However, the difference was too great. These people had not obtained the inheritance of the human ruler's seal, nor did they have the great dragon sword soul. Therefore, the power they could display was not even 1 in 10,000. How could they contend against the true human ruler's seal? The next moment, he took a deep breath and displayed the true man-ruler seal. With a loud boom, the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. The three of them were sent flying. The palms of the three people were completely shattered. Their eyes were filled with fear. How could this be? Their opponent was actually so strong? This was the human ruler seal. This guy actually displayed the human ruler seal, which was even more terrifying than ours. The surrounding people were dumbfounded. The people of the Celestial Guardian clan were even more shocked. They had been in the void all this time, so they could often comprehend the eternal battle inside. Naturally, they knew that there were extremely terrifying mystiques inside, but no one could completely obtain them. They could only rely on their own comprehension to display them. Even so, it was not something that ordinary mystiques could contend against. Now that the three of them had displayed such a huge palm, they thought that their opponent would definitely not be able to block it. However, who would have thought that their opponent would be even stronger than them? It was just like the one in the eternal battlefield. With another man-ruler seal, Lin Fan rushed forward and crushed his opponent. The three of them were beaten until they spat out blood, their faces filled with despair. Lin Xian stepped on the heads of these people and asked coldly, "Tell me, where are my two friends?" "Damn it, how dare you!" Before they could finish speaking, Lin Xian kicked one of them until his body exploded. Then he stared at the second person. "Are you going to speak?" The second person's face turned extremely ugly. "I said come with me." They had originally come to tell the other party the news. However, they had been arrogant and thought that the three of them would be able to kill the other party. That was why the situation had turned out this way. Now that they could not win, they would naturally lure the other party over there. After all, they had already set up an inescapable trap there. "Let's go." Lin Xian led the two of them and flew forward quickly. He had to save Qin Xianer and Guan Songhai. Soon he arrived at the front and saw Qin Xianer and Guan Songhai being suppressed by two huge mountains. Their faces were extremely pale. There were even injuries on their bodies. Instantly, Lin Xian's eyes emitted an unparalleled murderous intent. When the surrounding Immortal Guardian clan people saw this scene, they also stood up. "Brat, you're here. Prepare to die." Boom. With a thunderous boom, Lin Xian directly smashed the two elders of the Immortal Guardian clan into pieces. The killing intent radiating from him was incomparable. "How dare you attack my friends? Go to hell." The aura on his body became more and more terrifying. Then he slapped out, "Damn it, how dare you injure our people?" On the other side, the Immortal Guardian clan people were also enraged when they saw this scene. They attacked wildly. In an instant, 6 figures charged over. The void continued to shatter. Countless large cracks spread in all directions. They wanted to kill Lin Xian forcefully. However, after one attack, the 6 figures were forced back. Their eyes were filled with fear. Human ruler seal. So strong. Could it be that he was so talented that he could comprehend to such a level in just a few months? Damn it. Kill. The Immortal Guardian clan people charged over once again. Lin Xian held the sword in his hand. Sword chi was condensed by him. Then an invincible sword slashed down. The sword chi that reached the sky caused the world to collapse. This sword seemed to be invincible in the world. Instantly, those people spat out blood and were sent flying. Their bodies were torn apart. Too strong. Those young disciples' eyes were filled with despair. To be honest, they had always thought that they were high and mighty. They had never put the sacred city or sacred ground in their eyes. Perhaps only the people from the emperor race and the buried emperor star could make them take them seriously. But now a young man from the second astral realm was so strong. Not only did he make these young people feel despair, but even those of the older generation were beaten to the point that they could not fight back. It was hard to believe. Chapter 4376. Lin Xian became more and more courageous as he fought. His expression was incomparably cold. Kill. With another cold shout, Lin Xian immediately split the two mountains apart with an invincible sword. He saved Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai. Are you alright? Lin Xian took out pills and gave them to the two of them. The two of them gritted their teeth and said with ugly expressions. They were fine, just a little injured. Damn it, these people were too despicable. Don't worry, I'll take you away, Lin Xian said. The surrounding people all charged forward, blotting out the sky and covering the earth. You want to leave here? How naive. I don't believe that you are truly invincible. Kill. More and more people rushed over. Lin Xian's eyes erupted with a biting cold killing intent as he formed a seal with his palms. A mountain appeared between heaven and earth as if it had crossed the ancient primordial era and directly suppressed the world. The surrounding people were stunned in an instant. Their faces were filled with fear. Mountain embracing seal. This brat was actually able to unleash this divine ability? Catch him. He has a secret. Someone roared and tore through the void, arriving behind Lin Xian and quickly charging over. Lin Xian waved his sword chi and swept in all directions. The 10 ultimate sword formation was activated, shattering everything. At the same time, he used the Tai Chi art. The Tai Chi art flew out and split the 6 figures apart. Boom! He used the mountain embracing seal again. Impossible. This time, even the elders were stunned. Using a peerless divine ability like the mountain embracing seal once had consumed too much energy. His body couldn't withstand using it twice in a row. How did this kid do it? Lin Xian attacked forcefully and fought in all directions. Previously, the people of the Immortal Guardian clan were disdainful, but now they were really desperate. They realized that with so many of them, they might not be able to stop him. Go and get the patriarch. These people roared. Buzz. Between heaven and earth, a huge palm slapped over. Its power was endless, and it carried the aura of a saint king. Lin Xian's pupils constricted when he saw this scene. Qin Xiener and Guan Songhai couldn't escape at all. Their bodies were extremely cold. The attack of a saint king. Were they going to die? However, at this moment, Lin Xian took the two away. Then a pagoda appeared. Clang. The great sage pagoda was shaking nonstop. Even though they were inside, Lin Xian and the others felt their blood boiling. Boom. He was actually forced to retreat. But fortunately, they blocked this attack and retreated into the distance. The surrounding Immortal Guardian clan members all laughed coldly. This brat is dead for sure. With the patriarch personally making a move, how could he possibly escape? However, when they saw that the 3 people in front of them were actually unharmed, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. How could this be? That was an attack from a Saint King. Lin Xian's face turned cold as well. How terrifying. The Saint King's giant palm was truly terrifying. Looks like there's going to be a tough battle coming up. A sharp light burst out from his eyes. Right now he even dared to challenge a Saint King. No wonder you dared to be so arrogant in the Void Land. Between heaven and earth, an old voice rang out. Then an old man walked out. He stood above the 9 heavens, carrying with him terrifying laws that covered the sky and earth. It seemed that the Immortal Guardian clan was equally despicable and shameless. A Saint King actually dared to make a move on young people like us. Don't you think that's embarrassing? There's no need to talk about rules when dealing with people like you who have been abandoned by the Immortals. The old man in the sky said coldly. Lin Xian snorted coldly. Is that so? I'm the temple master and also a member of Wushuang City. If you kill me, you'll become an enemy of Wushuang City and Wushuang City. Besides, these two friends of mine are also top prodigies of the Great Sage City. Have you thought about how you're going to deal with the Saint City's attack? Lin Xian stood there, his voice resounding. So what if the Voidland was strong? Sure enough, the surrounding immortal guardian clansmen all sucked in a breath of cold air, and their expressions changed. However, the immortal guardian clan leader sneered. Looks like you don't know us well enough. We don't care about a mere Saint City. Moreover, I won't kill your two friends. I only want to kill you. So kneel down and accept your death. A cold killing intent appeared between heaven and earth. Lin Xian's face turned even colder. We won't leave. We'll advance and retreat with Lin Xian. Qin Xianer and Guan Songhai said coldly. They were now firmly on Lin Xian's side. Lin Xian took a deep breath. It seemed like he could only fight with all his might. The great dragon sword soul in his body roared, and a terrifying aura surged out. Lin Xian was going to use his trump card. In the sky, the immortal guardian clan leader sneered. It's useless. No matter what you use, it's useless in front of a true Saint King. He raised his palm again, and it was about to land. A shocking battle was about to break out. However, at this moment, a sigh was heard. Stop it. Who dared to interfere in their affairs at this moment? The immortal guardian clan members sneered. Because from the voice, it sounded incomparably young. The immortal guardian clan leader snorted coldly. Who dares to interfere in my affairs? I said stop. At this moment, the void shattered, and a phantom appeared. It was a peerlessly beautiful woman, like a fairy from the ninth heaven. The moment she appeared, she stared at the immortal guardian clan's leader. What? You don't understand my words? Lin Xian is my friend. Try and lay your hands on him. This person was the woman from the buried Emperor Star. Many immortal guardian clan members were shocked. Even if she was from the buried Emperor Star, she shouldn't be so arrogant. However, the immortal guardian clan's leader's pupils shrank. He knew more information. The identity of the person in front of him was not ordinary. His expression became unsightly. He didn't expect that the abandoned immortal was related to this person. Fairy Yan, he's an abandoned immortal. Think carefully. The phantom that appeared was Yan Ruyu. She didn't say anything and just stared coldly at the other party. Seeing that Yan Ruyu didn't reply, the immortal guardian clan's leader sighed. Okay, I know. I won't attack him this time. Fairy Yan, I won't do anything in the Void Land, but if I meet him again in the future, I'll be fine. If I meet him again, don't blame me for being impolite. In the sky, Yan Ruyu's figure slowly disappeared. As for the immortal guardian clan's leader, he stared at Lin Xian. Brat, you're lucky. I'll spare you this time. You can leave. Who is this person? He's so young. He should be from the younger generation. However, he was able to influence the Sacred Venerate's decision. Guan Songhai and Qin Xianer were both stunned. What shocked them even more was that this person was friends with Lin Xian. Lin Xian was also shocked. It seemed that Yan Ruyu's identity in the buried Emperor Star was not ordinary. Otherwise, why would a Sacred Venerate be so afraid of her? The surrounding immortal guardian clan members also didn't understand. However, they didn't dare to disobey their leader's orders. Therefore, they could only gnash their teeth and stare at Lin Xian and the other two. Lin Xian sneered. Immortal Guardian Clan, very good. I'll remember you. The next time we meet, I'll kill all of you, including you, the Sacred Monarch. Lin Xian raised his head and looked at the sky. His eyes were emitting a biting cold aura. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.